Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I have been following the story about that child. Let me call him a child because that's what he is. An innocent child, Carmelo Anthony. And the historical Rolodex in my mind hit a connection. I said, "Damn, this is a pattern." Y'all know one of the things that got me interested in history in the late '90s, early 2000s in high school when is I had a black history teacher, rest in peace, Miss Green, who talked about Emmett Till, and I didn't know many things back then, but I just knew that story wasn't right. It's like, why are they attacking children? Why are they attacking children? And I thought about from what I've seen in the corporate media my whole life, um, black children are being attacked, in my opinion, by the corporate media. I look back on an article that talked about Emmett Till. Now, we all know the story of that innocent child who allegedly whistled at a white woman. I don't know if he did that. I think, if you want to know my opinion from my study of history, I think the white lady thought Emmett Till was cute. And maybe he ignored her or some shit and she was going to get him. Well, I found an article analysis on JSTOR that analyzed the newspaper articles about Emmett Till, and I saw some shit that pissed me off. What I saw is as follows: according to JSTOR, pictures of the two motherfuckers who killed, that it was two white men who beat Emmett's face to a hot mess, and then one of those fucking bastards shot him in the eye with a 45 caliber pistol. How do you do that to a 14-year-old boy? Um, well, those motherfuckers were defended in the media. According to JSTOR, pictures of Bryant and Milam, however you say his filthy ass last name. Um, the corporate media had pictures of Bryant and Milam smiling in their military uniforms. These pictures were published alongside an article about their mothers promising to stand by them. Um, According to JSTOR, white Mississippi newspapers started firing off rebuttals. Till's lynching had made our section the target of unjustifiable criticism, thoughtless accusations, and avenging threats, one said. Um, Carolyn Bryant, that's that fucking woman that um, accused Emmett, the innocent child, mind you, was represented by a beauty pageant photograph. Juxtapose that with Emmett Till being was portrayed as husky, stuttering, an arrogant black kid from the north. Remarkably, an all-white grand jury indicted Bryant and Milam on murder charges, but the press helped influence the outcome of the trial. The most progressive paper in the Mississippi market, the Delta Democratic Times, chastised both the NAAC and friends of the accused killers. Each was whipping up a frenzy over the affair that was passed for moderate. As House writes, the other papers had so inflamed passions amongst the white Mississippians that three key witnesses left the state for fear of retribution. That's what the fuck I think I'm looking at with this young man Carmelo Anthony. I Wani, what were you saying that the New York Post posted?
They tried to incite violence by saying he bought a house and a car, and that house was previously rented a few years ago and has nothing to do with him. So they're lying. They're trying to incite violence, and they should have to apologize and get in trouble for inciting violence.
That's that Emmett Till mantra.
Yeah, they know their filthy animal group is going to get angry. They know they're inciting violence. They know that they're filthy animals. And go look at the leadership over at that paper. Go look at who wrote that filthy ass, nasty article. Just go look at it. They're nothing but a bunch of filthy animals trying to start problems. You want to start problems and then hide behind the newspaper? Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it.
So, according to Doctor, exactly. According to Doc, this is what is this about? Let's get to the fucking root. You know how we do. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote an article called "A National Public Policy on Black People." Um, he has a quote by Rudyard Kipling from 1899. It says, "Take up the white man's burden, 100 times made plain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain." That's what the fuck we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. At the heart and core of this is economic caste system hierarchy. In order to use a group of people in the prison system under the 13th Amendment to make free shit, we call that slavery, ladies and gentlemen. Last time I checked, you need not have sympathy on them. Them means us, particularly our children. Like, what am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? I'm saying in order to hold a whole group of people down, oppress them, and justify ill treatment against them, um, and mind you, the ill treatment against foundational Black Americans is a whole goddamn industry. Rikers Island. If you notice, many prisons are located in white jurisdictions where white people make up the prison guards, the wardens. That dynamic is changing, and prison guards are being placed with Nigerians. But I digress. In order to have public opinion to support these industries, these black children who are being abused need to always be viewed in the light of a non-victim. Now, I'm not a big fan of Noam Chomsky, as Carrie once pointed out in our spaces. Noam Chomsky never gave a flying fuck about black people, but Professor Noam Chomsky did write an interesting book that ruined his career that called Manufacturing Consent. Although he never said a goddamn mumbling word about black people in the book, he did identify that in the ill discontent towards black people, the hatred and vitriol is manufactured through the media. And in that long book, he argued his thesis is you can never show a black person or non-white person. He didn't mention black people, but a non-black person as a victim, because if you show us as a victim, we are worthy of sympathy. Dr. Chomsky separated groups in the books as worthy victims and unworthy victims. And the brilliant analysis he put in the book was of a brown Hispanic and a lily white blonde Nordic Ukrainian. I think it's like a Slavic. I think it was a Ukrainian. What did he do? He showed an instance in the paper of a Catholic priest. I think it was Poland. I'm saying Ukraine, it was Poland. A Catholic priest in Poland who was a foundation, like a foundation of the neighborhood in Poland. He was actually a really good priest that loved his community, loved poor people, and he was doing God's work. Well, the Polish mafia was selling drugs and running prostitutes and having people killed. And this Catholic priest spoke out against publicly, spoke out against the mafia as blight on the neighborhood. The Polish mafia warned him to shut his fucking mouth. And he said, "I'm standing on God and I'm not shutting my mouth. I'm defending the poor." Bless him for that. And the mafia broke into this priest's house and killed him, cut him to pieces, and killed his family, um, killed one of his little girls, cut her to pieces, and had their way with her. And the mafia was making an example out this priest. Like, if you come against us, we're gonna kill you and your whole family. It's terrible. Well, the same time that that happened, the damn near identical situation happened in, I think it was El Salvador. It was a South American country. El Salvadorian, we're going to say El Salvador. I forgot the country exactly. An El Salvadorian priest in the Catholic Church did the same thing. He spoke up against the cartel. Similar fact pattern. The cartel warned him. Um, and he said, "I'm standing on God," and they killed him. But before they killed him, they tied him up, and they had their way with his wife in front of him, then killed her, cut her to pieces. Then they had their way with his daughters, plural, and killed them in front of him. And after they killed his daughters gruesomely, I'm talking about chopping them to pieces, they gruesomely killed him to send a message. Both those stories were in the same paper. I think, I don't want to lie on anybody. I think it was a real important paper. Um, and in the paper, the white priest had a full page with pictures and his garb doing God's work, which was fine. But the brown, non white victim of an even more gruesome crime, because they made him watch his daughters and wife be taken advantage of, only had a little bitty article, a couple sentences without a picture. Noam Chomsky argues that is social engineering, ladies and gentlemen, because as Dr. Welson pointed out, on a subconscious level, what do we learn when we read the paper? We don't realize we learn this, but we do because our brain is a computer. We learn that it's not okay to hurt people that look like the Polish man, blonde hair, blue eyes, and it's not even memorable to hurt anybody brown. Dr. Chomsky argues over time that becomes that manufactures consent, that manufactures the idea that you damn better well not hurt a white person. And it also, at the same time, manufactures discontent towards brown people. It says if you hurt and brutally um, murder a brown person or black person, according to Dr. Chomsky, brown person, they're unworthy of sympathy. They're just there. Implication being bad things are supposed to happen to black people. And that's what I think, in my opinion, we're looking at with Carmelo. Straight out of any first year law student knows, hell, any high school history student basically knows, or any college political science major knows that given the information that we've received about that child, Carmelo Anthony, that's clear cut self defense. But the news is focusing on shit that has nothing to do with with the case at hand. What does his parents' house have to do with the instance? Does it have anything to do with it? Fuck no, it doesn't. What it does is manufacture discontent towards Carmelo's family, which to me look like hardworking, upstanding black people. It makes the white media focus on, ooh, those are some uppity black people. Look at them, they got a big old house. It manufactures jealousy. And I close on this. That's the same shit that happened to Emmett Till. Again, according to JSTOR Daily, an all white jury indicted Brian and Milam, the two filthy murderers, on murder charges. But the press, what the press do? It helped influence the outcome of the trial. How did it do that? It scared the paper, inflamed passions amongst Mississippians that three-way key witnesses left the state for fear of retribution. That is manufactured consent for the murderers of
So
Emmett Till.
I want to push back.
Go ahead.
So this goes into what we were talking about, how people do not view each other as people. And we can't expect white people to view us as human beings because they weren't viewing each other as human beings just a hundred and some years ago. Irish people were, subject to whatever. If you saw what English people did to Irish people when they were maids and what they did after they impregnated a lot of women, they threw them in the garbage. They threw them in the workhouse. They threw them in mother baby homes where they were found dead with the baby thrown down the well. Entire throngs of skeletons thrown down wells, and they're all white. So we have something called Black Lives Matter. I don't like the organization, but I like the sentiment. So, this is what we're doing. We are taking care of ourselves. So, I don't care if white people don't think we're worthy. We think we're worthy. And that's why they get so mad because not only do they're worthless, their children get jacked up all the time and they don't say a word. So, we can't expect them to speak up. They know that this boy committed no crime, that he simply was fighting against a bully. Okay? They know that. And they know that they have applied that logic to other crimes similar, and that those white boys walked free. And those white boys were very guilty, crossing state lines, having illegal weapons, and looking for trouble. Completely different and getting away with it. Getting away with murder. This is self-defense. But although I get what they're saying, that when you see it in the paper that the brown person was minimized, we've been talking about this forever. That when a little black girl goes missing, they don't make a big deal of it, but oh, let a blonde girl go missing. That's why we have our
Facts.
own way of highlighting our people missing. We have our own services to look for our own people. So we have learned that they don't care. They don't view us as human, and they barely view each other as human. Look at what they're doing over between Russia and Ukraine. They don't view those people as human. If you can walk up to a car and shoot a 9-year-old girl in the head, just to scare her parents going across a checkpoint during that war, then you don't view them as human. So if they don't view each other as human, we cannot expect them to view us as human if they make these fine distinctions between each other, especially during wartime when they can just tear each other apart.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Russians bombed the shit out of Ukrainian hospitals, blowing up pregnant women and children. And but yeah, I agree with you 100%, Wani. But just to clarify for Nikki comes up, what I agree with you. This, we shouldn't expect them to protect our children, but my thesis is we should do everything within our power, within the bounds of the law, to protect our children. If the media comes at Carmelo, we need to show that he's an honor student. He wearing suits and ties, and you're damn right that the family lives in a nice house because they're upstanding citizens, like most foundational Black Americans. Nikki,
You're muted a lot. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me
Yep.
now, y'all?
I hear
Okay,
you now.
sorry. Thank you for letting me know. I wanted to, because we did a space, I did a space with Robbie yesterday, and he was talking about how this was kind of the same as how they think we don't deserve reparations. They don't think we're supposed to have anything nice. But the conversation really isn't about that. It's always about the white power structure. They're supposed
Facts.
to be up here. We are supposed to be down there. Also, I think that this is a good time to bring up how we talk to our children and how they need to, like, if they are accosted by police, if something happens and they need to defend themselves, what they need to say when they come in contact with the police and how they need to, conduct themselves, because because they're never seen as children. They're never seen as innocent. So it's just another chance for us to start a conversation about what they should do, because with the way these white supremacists are acting everywhere, we know that we are not safe. This family is not safe. That's why they got the other house. The judge is not safe. We aren't safe in general. So we want to make sure that our children are spoken to so that they know how to handle different situations, because they're not like other teenagers in our land.
Yeah, yeah, our children deserve to know the truth. Chris Rock said every time he made a joke that every time his daughter walked in the house, he would slap the shit out of her to let her know she was in America because he was rich and that she would get the impression that of the it was fun, the illusion of inclusion. He was playing, of course. I want to put some in the jumbotron right quick to support what both y'all said. The narrative, Nikki hit the nail right on the fucking head. The narrative has to be that white males are the hero. That's the only way that the system can be upheld. My jumbotron acting a fool again, of course. But just imagine a picture of.
What you want me to put up there, sir?
I'm probably gonna.
What you want me?
I'm gonna email it. Oh, never mind. I see it. There it is. Bam.
All right.
It's back. So I put a picture in the jumbotron. I put it went in there twice. Forgive me, but it's of the end of Birth of a Nation. At the end, um, after they killed the black man, the Ku Klux Klan rode out, and notice the end. They're riding out as heroes. They're not portrayed as a filthy group of cowards that hid their face. Look at their stature. Their faces are shown. They're riding the horses with that interesting insignia on their chests. that goes back to a very ancient organization, not ancient, but old organization. We're not going to talk about in this space. But just in conclusion, it's very important that the narrative show the white male as the hero, and the Carmelo. I'm not going to call it a narrative. I'm going to call it the fucking statement of the facts, baby. The statement of the facts in the Carmelo Anthony case show just the opposite. It portrays the white male as the aggressor, the white male as the and it's unfortunate that anybody lost their lives, but the statement of the facts just show the white males involved in this fact pattern were in essence the villains, and the media machine cannot handle that. And to aggravate that even worse, it portrays this young black male as the hero. Did I say hero? I meant hero. Somebody got that. Let's go on to is Queen still up here? Go ahead, Queen.
Yes.
Hey, thanks everybody for allowing me to join the space. Um Thank you, Professor Allen, Nikki, Wani. Thank y'all for having me. So I just left the space. People are going to a rally for Carmelo Anthony. It's gonna be in Frisco, Texas on the same day as the counter rally. So they just, like put this together today. So we was trying to see if we can probably get in touch with Tariq to see if he could get people from Dallas, or if you guys know anybody in Dallas that could just
Yeah,
go over there and show.
yeah, I'll tell them about it. Yeah.
Yeah, just go over there and show
What's
their support for Carmelo.
what's a counter rally? What are they rallying? They don't like what?
Well, so the Metcalf people, they have a flyer. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but they have a rally going on called Protect White Men or something like that. Protect white people. I guess they're
They're
saying
crazy.
that black people are killing white people. So they're having a rally that's like a mile away from the stadium that it happened at. So they're having another rally for Carmelo. And I actually, I'm in a group with one of the people. She lives in Dallas, and in her community at the country club, they're having a sign making party for Carmelo, and they're going to be making signs that says "Drop the charges, charge Hunter." Um, so yeah, so I was just trying to make everybody aware, and then not to get off the topic too much, but it is something going on in Mississippi. With his name is Jordan Hill. He was hit by a white guy in a truck. He fled the scene, but he came back to get his his side light, not light, but side mirror, and he just left the baby out there to die. And Jordan, he passed away, but the only thing that the police are charging him with is like marijuana and felony fleeing the scene of um of an accident. So we are putting together something like Black Lives Matter. It's not going to be Black Lives Matter per se, but it's going to be like an organization where we could be like Johnny on the spot anytime anything affects like a black kid, a black person, anything that's unjust towards them from the dominant society. So we're trying to galvanize people to join our organization. It's going to be called the FADL, like the ADL is gonna be FADL. Um, so yeah, that's what we're working on. So I was just trying to, galvanize support for Carmelo though, first of all, for the protest this Saturday. And I land with that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We
What
need
does
to
the
go ahead.
F stand for? What does the F stand for?
Freeman, we're gonna do
Okay.
Freeman.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do Freeman because Freeman is, like our USA like legal term.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Thank you so much for coming up here, Queen. We appreciate you.
I was in
Thank
that
you for
meeting
coming up.
with them. Oh, go ahead, Sister Nikki. I'm
No
sorry,
problem.
my
Thank
bad.
you so much for having me. I really appreciate you guys letting me speak.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Go ahead, Capone.
Oh yeah, that's the Freedmen Anti Defamation League. I was in that meeting with Sister Queen when we came up with that name, just to combat all the stuff we was doing, taking the pages out of the Jews book. And I won't be able to make it out there, sister, but I will donate if need be. Let me get your cash app so I can send my support. I'll send some tip service instead of lip service. And yeah, we need to look out for our people, man, especially our women and children. You see how they're trying to kill us, but I'm gonna let everybody go because I'm over here with these crackers. I'm at work on the
Oh,
plantation, but
Lord.
love y'all, love, peace, reparations, delineations, and deportations.
Oh yeah, we need to support the narrative of our children. Our children are children. We need to manufacture um
Facts.
yeah, we need to manufacture consent for the narrative that these are children, and we do care about our children, and there will be consequences for fucking with our children. Go ahead, Black.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in space though. Yeah, see these KBs, cockers or neon thumb crackers though. Excuse my French though. Yeah, we definitely need to protect our children. I wish I was out there. I wish I could make it though, because I'll be on the front lines though, protecting that family though. Because these KBs, cockers or neon thumbs though, they got nothing coming. They think this is the '50s now. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Shout out to the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made a huge mistake. Even he said it, that he integrated us to a burning household. So we need to separate, segregate from these people. Integration was one of the biggest mistakes that our grandparents and my parents fought for. We should have stayed segregated because yeah. So if Trump do and bring back segregation, I'm fine with that because I don't want to be next to these white people anyway. I want to be next to my people 24/7, 7 days a week. I want to focus on creating, building our institution though. But they try to do the same thing with Emmet Till though. But we definitely keep our eyes on this case though because they trying to lie in the media saying that he bought that car, he bought that mansion, and his family's well to do. See, they hate to see that though because he don't fit the stereotypical narrative that the mainstream white media says. That's why he's an outstanding foundation Black American freedman citizen. He don't have no criminal record. He grew up in a two-parent household. He got a beautiful foundation Black American family and wife though. So they mad because he don't fit the narrative though. So these cockroach or neon thun KBs is our enemy though, and they always gonna be our enemy though. So this is basic guerrilla warfare attacks. We need to think of military mindset though. Is that I don't know about that Dominica and Alexander though. They need to get rid of him though. They need to have enough spokesman though too, because you got these cockroach or neon thun KBs devils. They
That
try to
guy
pull
has a
up his
bad record, doesn't he?
yeah, he does though. He got and these white folks though, they starting to put up his criminal record history
Uh-huh,
though.
I saw that.
Yeah, so that's basically a setup though. I believe Dominica, I believe he got planted through that
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah,
family
yeah. I was thinking the same
be-
thing.
because she came out of nowhere though, because I know some people from the Human People in the Gun Club out there in Texas though. I asked them the stuff, they said they all never heard of him. And they from Texas though, they say never heard of him though. So that's very odd and strange that you have somebody like him just pop out of nowhere. Same thing about the Jasmine Crockers. I asked my people around in Dallas and Houston, have you heard about Jasmine Crocker? Said no, she's came out of nowhere though. We don't know who she is though. I said, did she grow up around the black community in Dallas? Said no, she didn't grow up around us though. We don't know who she is though. So that's very odd and strange. You got these random people that pop out of nowhere. You don't know who they are though. So people need to get in touch with Camilla Anthony's family. Tell them they need to get rid of that guy though, because I believe they actually set him up though, because he's associated with him, with associated with him. They need to hire some FOI brothers out there to protect him though. They have the FOI brothers to represent him though. Have somebody else represent him instead of him. And I found out is that he's part of World Action Network, like El Sharpton's organization. You
Uh-oh.
already know they all Boule. Yeah, he's part of World Action Network though. So that's number Boule though. So the Democrats, he's clicked in with the DNC, the Democratic Party though. So basically using this as opportunity to gain black support now. The Democrats with DNC though. That's not genuine though what they're doing with the DNC, because if it was genuine though, they would have got the last survivors of Tulsa, Oklahoma justice though too, from the at the Oklahoma Supreme Court, denied them justice though. So that's fake though. So they definitely get rid of that Dominique Alexander person though. He's very suspect though. And also that's another suspect you had, McCaff's. People came out. He was in a meeting though, and he told him to get out. He refused to leave. So I believe he's paid to try to start something, like the McCaff family though. He probably trying to, and also you got to be careful about these tethers though too, because I respect the good word of Tyrell. Now he actually mentioned this though. They gonna start using these tethers to infiltrate that case though, because they gonna start seeing these tethers to try to infiltrate they conference hearings and trying to spy on them and stuff like that. So we gotta keep an eye on these tethers, especially the Nigerians though, because you got a huge Nigerian population out there in Texas, especially in Houston though. But yeah, we definitely keep an eye on this though, because they trying the mainstream white media basically trying to tarnish his image though. Yeah, I'm glad people on the grassroots. I'm glad we saying no, this ain't the brother. He's well do upstanding citizen though. So they trying to figure out the way to flip it. At first, these white folks were trying to put a picture of a fake AR soft gun. That was fake. That didn't work though. Then they mad. They were trying to take a GoFundMe down. Shout out to Anthony Watkins though. These white folks so dirty, they shut down Anthony Watkins' page though,
Well,
because they couldn't
I
set.
want to point out something that to support what Black was saying. I watched today on my way to work. I was listening to a podcast with our dear brother, Doctor Kaba Kameen. That's a deep brother, and Kaba Kameen was talking about basic. I'm paraphrasing our brother, but he was basically saying people need to stay in their lane in the Black community, and we need to consult people who know. And Kaba was like, he said, I know a lot of things. I've been on the earth a long time, but my realm of true understanding is in education. I'm saying that to say, when we're dealing with political situations and public perception, I think we might need to consult political scientists. We have a whole, there's a degree program all the way to PhD called political science, where people understand how to manipulate or control public perception. And yeah, to support what you're saying, maybe the family or maybe people, maybe the FBA community needs to consult some political sciences, namely maybe some PhDs or some graduate level students in political science to give advice on how to manipulate. And we're not manipulating shit. We're just trying to portray the truth of the situation that that is an innocent child. And you're right. He needs to be surrounded with upstanding brothers and sisters from the community to be alongside as an advocate. Last
Yeah.
thing, oh, yeah, go ahead.
And and sorry to cut you off, Professor. On TikTok, I posted where it first broke out with Anthony, our brother Anthony, Carmelo Anthony got out. My tweet got viral, almost close to over 100,000 views in one day. You have all these white folks, these KBs, people mad at me in the comments, threatening me and on TikTok said whatever. Man, I'm ready though too because I'm military trained too, and I do martial arts though. So I'm not tripping about that though.
But
So I'm worried about. I'm worried about.
just to make it clear, we're this is a non. I understand you got training, but this is a non-violent space. I'm just saying that.
I know. I understand though. Sorry to say that though, but yeah, but we definitely need to do where we can with financing him, make sure he get legal reputation, make sure he gets because you got the Hidden P New Gun Club. I'm gonna see what I can do on my end to see if the Hidden P New Gun Club could go out there with the Frank Hampton Roman Pro Gun Club or the NOI could go out there and basically protect that brother where he goes. His family, he's safe in at home though, but once outside he need definitely protection or he need to go to an area that's mostly black at like Dallas, Houston.
Well,
He
that's
need to be so.
that's a good point, and just to kind of drive home the point at hand about political science, I'm a trained and licensed social scientist, but I'm not a political scientist. I'm a social scientist. But the having a gun club, even though they're 100% legal, we may want to consult a political scientist before that would happen because that may be perceived as some type of threat to uprising. I don't know. I'm not a political scientist, but we need to consult the experts before we make moves. I know we're emotionally charged, but we really need to follow Kaba Kameen's advice, which honestly was Dr. John Henry Clark's. I think Dr. Clark told that to Kaba Kameen, but I remember watching an old interview where Dr. Clark said the exact same thing. He said, "Black people consult experts. We got every expert you can imagine, but check this out." Public perception has portrayed us as a non-expert class, as an emotional class, what Neely Fuller called a body person, not a mind person. Just act, just go tackle somebody, which is not the perception we need. Wani, you were going to say something?
No, let's go to MF Kush.
Hey, Kush, what up?
Ooh, do 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 do. Hey y'all. Y'all smell good. Y'all got good credit. Appreciate everybody brushing their teeth. Yes. Got behind them ears. I know. Okay, so look, this is what I wanted to say, and I think that, and I'm pretty sure like somebody already brought this up, but what was very intriguing to me is that when Tops grocery store in Buffalo, New York was shot up, they called the person that shot up the store a boy, a child. When you hear the word child, you think innocent. You think like, you know what I'm saying? In the now when it comes to Carmelo in the situation, they call him a murderer. They want to try him as an adult. They want to go through all these extra things, and it's just very interesting the efforts that they've made to try to strip away his innocence out of it all without not really telling the entire story in all totality. Nobody they didn't want to bring up the fact that the father had a sexual assault case. They didn't want to bring up the fact that the mother and father were actually not together at all whatsoever. They didn't want to bring up the fact that there was an incident happening a week prior to the tent incident going on that led up to all this. And even the narratives that have been put out, it's just crazy, crazy work. If we as Black Americans, especially us as parents, aunties and uncles, if we don't have the realistic, honest conversation with our future generations about what it means to protect yourself, what you are able to do, what it means to, you know what I'm saying, like defend yourself in all totality, you're doing a really big disservice to your future generations. Because nobody has the right to put their hands on us. This is not slavery. You don't get to beat me. You don't get to torture me and think I can't do nothing to you in this year. Um, as a person that is an advocate of 2A, or like, you know what I'm saying, 2A, yeah, all I'm gonna say is just defend yourself at all costs and teach your kids how to defend themselves because you don't know what could happen. Carmelo could easily be your little brother or your son or your nephew. Um, so I land there. Thank you for letting me speak. Do.
Thank you, Kush. The old folk back in Birmingham used to say it this way, Kush. They used to say, I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. The old folks didn't say much. Wani said something very important that was true earlier on in the space, and I'm paraphrasing you, Wani, but she brought up that the dominant society does this to each other, and I want to take that opportunity to point out when the Italians and the Irish became um, worthy victims, according to Noam Chomsky, when because the Irish and Italians weren't looked at as human. In March 25th, 1911, there was a fire at Triangle Shirtwaist Company. Stop right there. So the Italians and Irish worked medial, like low jobs. Women and children, I'm talking about 4 year olds, were working in a big factory in New York. They were looked at as animals, as trash. But what happened? According to Dr. Howard Zinn, a fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Company began in a rag bin. Actually, a child is actually sad. It was one of them 5 year old babies working in that factory. Uh, a towel caught on fire, and he threw it in a closet or something. He didn't know that you were supposed to put it out, and a fire swept through. Dr. Zen says it swept through the eighth, ninth, and 10th floors, too high for fire ladders to reach. The fire chief of New York said that his ladders could reach only the 7th floor, but half of New York's 500,000 workers spent all day, perhaps 12 hours above the 7th floor. The law said that factory doors had to open outward, but the Triangle Company doors open inward. They were violated. They were in violation. The law said that doors could not be locked during working hours, but given the fact that they weren't considered human, the Triangle Company, according to Howard Zinn, doors were usually locked so the company could keep track of its employees. And so, trapped, the young women were burned to death at their work tables or jammed against a locked exit door or leaped to their deaths down the elevator shafts. When the Irish and Italians became human and became what Noam Chomsky called worthy victims in public perception was through the media. According to Dr. Zen, the New York World reported, quote, Screaming men, women, and boys and girls. See, they said boys and girls crowded out so many window ledges and threw themselves into the streets far below. They jumped with their clothing ablaze. The hair of some of the girls streamed up in flames as they leaped. Thud after thud sounded on the pavements. It's a ghastly fact that both on Green Street and Washington Place sides of the building grew mounds of dead and dying. You saw what the news did? The news humanized these people, and they in the views of the public, the dominant society start looking at them. Oh, those poor Irish and Italian girls and children and boys were jumping to their death. One of the girls' hair was on fire, and sympathy was gained for them. The media humanized them, and just like the media humanized them, in my view, the medium avoids humanizing us. Go ahead, Queen.
That's our
Oh, go
job.
go ahead, Wani.
Just gonna say that's our job.
It is our
We'll
job.
humanize ourselves despite them and
Yes, ma'am.
keep it pushing.
Right on. Come on, Queen.
Yeah, so I just wanted to speak to the part where the Metcalf father showed up to the Anthony's press conference. In the last space that I was in, that's what we were talking about. Where did the twins get that type of bullying mentality? And they probably learned it from their father, because why was he even there? Other than to try to intimidate them, or, try to make them feel some type of way. Because at first, when he first came out, he was, oh, I forgive him, this and that. But, I guess some other people must have got in his ear, because now he's going to be at their, Save the White Boy rally. So, yeah, I'm going to land
Yep,
right
he
there.
had to. He was beaten into submission because that's what white people do. That's why they've never been able to get over racism, because when they try to be fair, the other white people get on them and call them nigger lovers and insist that they uphold racism. So that's what he did. He did come out, and I think that when I looked at him, what I think he was saying is, I know my son's a bully, and he got fucked up for doing it. He knew why his son got stabbed. These parents know their children are bullies. You think this is the first time they get tons of complaints from kindergarten? He knew what was up, okay? And that's why he had that attitude.
Which is why we definitely need reparations. We need the capital, and I mean reoccurring. We need institutional money. We need our own institutions. That's going to take money. Guess what institution we desperately need? We need a massive media apparatus to defend our children, to defend our public perception. Ladies and gentlemen, perception is everything. One of my law professors years ago said, in the first year of law school, to take down any pictures off of Facebook or shit. Back then it was what's that shit called? MySpace.
MySpace.
Yeah, you already knew. That showed you like looking tough or looking aggressive, because the moment you get in trouble, the media is going to use that picture to demonize you. And I would tell my students for years to stop posing, even though we have a beautiful Second Amendment. It's one of the most beautiful things about America. It may not be a good idea to pose, or pose with weapons in some type of way. If you're hunting, that's cool, but if you're at a range, that's cool, but looking tough is just not a good idea. It's all about perception, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, does the Second Amendment do any of these amendments really apply to us?
That's the question. I say again, when I tell my students all the time in my constitutional law class that the Constitution, the preamble says "we the people," and I stop them right there. I say, who did that apply to in 1776? Did that apply? Who was a people? Who was a person? And to support your point, Nikki, it didn't include us. And we see a legacy. This is about economics. This is about caste. This is about position in society. The the media machine and the legal apparatus has struggled fought damn hard to make sure that we are not seen as people. Well, just think of when we got all our rights, got a whole bunch of our rights in the 60s. What prompted that? What prompted, what forced the hands of these folks like uh, Lyndon Johnson, who was a racist? I got recordings of him saying, I just passed that nigger bill. He's saying this in the White House in front of everybody. But what called his hand was a bunch of children in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, getting fighting the oppressors who had guns. You had pictures of children fighting white men in tanks, like Bull Connor, little ass, coward ass, in a tank, facing children who had on suits, ties, and little cute Sunday dresses. You know what? We need to bring that back. We need to bring back that attire that we used to have in the 60s of wearing tie, the young people wearing ties and dresses and shit, because that is a powerful weapon of a weapon of what? A weapon of perception.
Ooh, boy, I'm so negative right now. I'm being negative, Professor. I'm letting you know.
Come on with it.
Didn't our people get hung in suits and Sunday best? It still
Yeah,
wasn't good enough for these white supremacists.
that's true.
I'm being negative because I am just sick and tired of them. I'm not being purposefully negative, but it's just me pointing things out that we need to focus on too.
Yep,
No, you're
that's the
right.
truth.
I want us to wear suits and dresses for other reasons because when they say the suit makes the man or the clothes makes the man, I've seen people's whole attitudes change when they have on, nice clothes. So I want us to dress up. But that's not the point.
You're right.
The point is that you're right. That makes them mad. They get angry. I've had people to get angry. Where are you going? Nowhere. Can't I walk?
Can y'all hear her?
Oh no, yeah, I thought it was my space. Juan, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Heard somebody rang your phone, Wani.
No, they didn't.
you went
No,
out.
not really.
What did you just say?
Nothing.
You said that people
No,
that they have gotten mad at you.
they
I
get
had a college
like,
professor get mad because I had my hair in a different style one day, and he says, "Oh,
yeah.
you must have got your student loans and got another one of
Oh,
those hairdos."
what?
I would have wrote his ass up for saying that.
Yeah, there's a like if the general public decides to dress a certain way and then you want to dress up or you don't want to dress that way, you people will say something to you because you're making them look bad. And so I think we should dress up, but not because we want to impress white people and not get lynched, because that's not going to work. We did get lynched in suits and dresses, and children. We have images of them reading the Bible while lynching an 8-year-old boy.
Wow.
And then they said, "Oh, that's not the United States. That was over in Australia." It doesn't matter. It's the same racist assholes, no matter where they go. And they have the same attitude, and they're also holding the Bible all the time, which makes me wonder what are they reading and who are they worshiping?
Yeah, Dr. James Cone argued, are we serving the same God? I don't think we are, actually, because if we were, why is the most segregated day in America Sunday? You know, and why is there such thing as the black church? Do y'all know we didn't create that term? That was created for us. Implication being we have different deities, different
We had different Bibles. There was a slave Bible.
facts. Come on, Capone.
Oh no, I was just saying on the Constitution, them unintended rules we are able to use, and I recommend everybody take a look at attorneys on retainer just for your two-way safety, and I land on that.
Yeah, every family, every black family needs an attorney in the family. I'm sorry. I had a poke bowl. I'm sorry. I'm eating and talking. I won't do that anymore. I didn't know.
Shoot, no, go ahead. No, we ain't nobody stuck up in here.
Explain the poke bowl.
Well, it's a place in Atlanta called Poke Labs. A poke bowl is like this off topic, but it's a it has to be done right, but it's a bowl. They put rice in the bottom and they put a whole bunch of stuff in there. Edamame. Mine has octopus and scallops, And then they put a whole bunch.
You eat octopus. It has suction cups on
It's
it.
delicious. And then
You can't eat that.
you mix it all up and it's delicious in a way
Put that down.
I can't explain, but if you get a sorry one, it's nasty. But if you get it done right, it's something special.
Now, how long have you been eating octopi?
Uh,
You know they changed the name on me. They said it was octopi. Now they're saying octopuses. So I don't really like people at all right now.
about 2 weeks. Yeah,
You've been eating them for two
yeah.
weeks? Oh, I know why. Wink, wink, nod,
Wink, wink. No,
nod.
no. Yeah, she showed them to me. Yeah, but oh Lord, y'all silly. But yeah. So Dr. Claude Anderson argues that that's public policy. Dr. Anderson said something very powerful. He said quote, the national public policy determined black people's human worth and status, as well as their educational and political opportunities and their cultural and family values. The dominant white society's national public policy explicitly and implicitly defines how blacks were treated and used. You think the media, corporate media, is not part, an arm of public policy? You can argue with me all you want, and I will challenge you with this. Look up how many people own the corporate media. It's a handful of people that literally own these news conglomerates.
Rupert Murdoch is in charge, but there's a lot of Italian leadership and writers, and they're just really in there trying to cause problems. I really don't understand any other explanation for that article other than trying to incite violence. And where are they going to be when that violence pops off?
Mm-mm. That may be the overall goal of these people. I grew up in Alabama, and towards the end of my high school career in a lily white neighborhood, still lily white. And reverberating message that I heard in high school amongst the men of little boys of the dominant society is A, race war, and B, the South will rise again. So, Wani, that may be an objective.
They don't have they're too old to do it, you know.
Maybe
And
they're trying to
then,
outsource
and,
it with immigrants.
right, but see, here's the issue. The immigrants are they're not reliable because I remember they tried to have a race war out here in Anaheim at Disneyland, and a bunch of black guys were like, "We're headed out to Anaheim. We're gonna go head to head with these white supremacist groups." They got in the car. By the time they got there, the Mexicans had beat all the white supremacists up. They looked like hamburgers sitting down. Very graphic images of them beat down, faces looking like hamburger. So I don't know which way that'll go. I really don't. And they weren't beating them up for us. They were just beating them up because they were out there saying something. They're against too many people. That's their problem. They have too many enemies. They don't have the numbers and they don't have the right age groups. They're too old. Collectively, they're too old.
Yeah, their house of cards is collapsing on them. And deep down, they know that shit ain't gonna work. Let me prove it to you. My grandmother lived in D.C., right down the street from the Capitol. Matter of fact, if you cross the block, you can one street on near Benning Road in D.C. Those of you who know D.C., you can look at the Capitol. I'm like, damn, there goes the Capitol. You can see it. Well, that neighborhood used to be black. It's starting to change. That's Southeast D.C. Um, anyway, during the insurrection, you remember when they marched on the Capitol? My uncle and dad was like, the black neighborhood was getting ready. They're like, oh shit, they coming. Do you know they walked around the black neighborhood to go to the Capitol? They knew better than to walk through the fucking black neighborhood acting tough. What do you think would have happened if they walked down Benning Road? You know, it would have been a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying? So they aware what it is. I don't know what the plan is. I think the plan is just perception. Just they're hoping to just keep the old mantra The old national policy, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, of these are the bad guy. These are the bad guy. I forgot who said it. Was it Dealey Fuller? I don't know what scholar said it, but somebody said they're using the same trick over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it's a recipe for failure. Our dear brother David Banner said something very powerful and very true. David Banner's a genius. David Banner said, if you look at European history, like Wani said earlier in the space, they have a history of destroying each other. In essence, we're the best thing that ever happened to them because we gave them a target to focus on instead of each other. What did David Banner said? David Banner said, if we mind our business and just step out of their world and just do us, they'll turn on each other. And we're watching that happening with the foundational Black American movement. We're like, hey, we're gonna do us, you handle you, and they're turning on each other.
Who's next? I see patty cakes.
Patty coming up. Go.
No,
It's Kush. I gotta let her up.
not yet.
Go ahead, Queen Kush.
Wait, what
Queen
happened?
Kush.
Good night, good evening, everybody. I wanted to ask a quick question. Um, has anybody seen the video that's been circulating on Twitter recently from the fatherless white boy who took his mother? The mother, I believe, was like a deputy or something down there in Florida. What was it, Florida State University or something?
Yes, the woman
Yeah.
was built like a refrigerator.
Yes, her.
Wani,
And
Wani, that's not nice now, Wani.
You said it
the
so
truth,
politely.
it will set us all
Built like a
free.
refrigerator.
I was just trying to identify this lady. She was white and wide.
Accurate description, very accurate. And then the son, I guess he had no father in the home and whatever. And based off of their culture, he took the mother's weapon and went off shooting at the school. And it's a video circulating of, it appears to be a melanated female with a Starbucks in her hand, recording, walking through the campus, and there is appears to be a melanin deficient person laying on the grass. And I don't know if the person got shot in the leg, the buttocks, whatever, but they were just laid out there. And people are posting and saying, oh, that's horrible that a person could walk by with a Starbucks latte and not help somebody laying on the ground. And it's like, I don't know if this is a melanated person, American freedman, foundational Black American, or whatever, but this thought that people of melanated complexion need to come to the rescue of these people when they're going through what they're going through, whatever it is, me personally, I'm minding my business, and there are other things I need to be focused on. And it feels like these people feel entitled to us coming to their rescue or this or that. It's still this mentality that we are slave labor, if you will.
That's damn right. Dr. Claude Anderson says from the beginning, he has an article that says, how did this national policy on blacks how did it develop? Well, according to Dr. Anderson, quote, European culture set the stage for the exploitative use of black African Americans. His words. And the social and physical conditions of life in the New World drove the English to construct an aggressive strategy to enslave them. No single factor compelled Europeans to seek out blacks to serve as a labor class in the New World. Many factors converge simultaneously. So what does that mean? That means basically it was baked in the cake from the beginning. That was the plan. The plan was to use us as some type of exploited class. And we're seeing the system just fight hard to keep us in that position that we've really never even really been in. We've somehow I'm just amazed by us. We've transcended that imaginary caste system. We always has, but the media apparatus struggles really hard to try to portray us as that class. So in conclusion, It's just it was baked in the cake. Why they're just struggling so hard to keep us there, I don't understand it. I don't
Can
know.
we talk about this black, what did he say? Black African American?
Dr.
How black do we need to be with this person?
This is an old book,
I'm
but
name banging right now. I just want to
yeah,
point that out.
this book was in 92 when he says use of black African. That's what he said. I
What?
put
Wait. Now we're black Africans?
yeah,
Wait
I
a minute.
slipped American in there. I didn't mean to.
Oh
He's
my God, wait a minute.
uh-oh.
Why were we being all that? Why do we have to be like
I don't
black Africans? Are there white Africans over here then?
I don't know why
How many white Africans do we have over here to where we have to be called black Africans?
I don't know why Dr. Anderson said that, because if you remember what Brother Tariq Nasheed said, he was inspired to, and I'm paraphrasing Brother Tariq, but he said that Foundational Black American was inspired by Dr. Claude Anderson using the term native black. My only explanation is this is one of Dr. Anderson's early books, so maybe Dr. Anderson didn't realize that the term black African was problematic. I don't know, but
That's interesting. I've never heard of us described as black Africans
yeah,
in America because that would mean that there was a whole lot of white Africans running around that we needed to define ourselves. How many Elon Musk were running around here? That just goes to show you how we've had to struggle with a lot of these names. Like when we were working on the book, and they had all these different terms for negritos, and I literally had to contact some of these people that were the first to say these names, and even they weren't sure what to call people. So it's rough.
yeah, that goes back to our point yesterday of names. Like I think we've recently, like when I say recently, like in the last 30 years, 40 years, realized that names are problematic and names drive perception. So I don't know why Dr. Anderson said that. I think he may have been trying to point out the African enslaved that came over on the ship. But what we've discovered is that was such a small number of us. Most of us were here already, which is probably, I'm speculating, probably why Dr. Anderson went to native blacks. He's like, wait a minute, that don't make sense. To put some clarity on it, let's look at the second paragraph. Dr. Anderson says the English people, like most Europeans, harbored racist attitude towards black people long before the first settlers arrived in North American continent. The European traders and explorers to Africa brought back stories about the dark continent and its dark-skinned heathens. The 17th century Anglo-Saxon culture was filled with anti-black terms, and the first English settlers brought their prejudices with them to America. So, for some reason, according to Dr. Anderson, these English always hated people of African
Look,
descent.
but check them out though.
Okay,
They don't like anybody. Okay?
that's a
They
fact.
don't like Irish people. They have a problem with everybody in the Mediterranean area you know, is mixed, and they don't like it. They have a problem with everybody. Even when they start to get within their group of the monarchy, they have these fine distinctions. You're this and you're that. You're not good enough for this. You're not good enough to marry this person. They are a mess. And the first people that they hurt is themselves. So of course they're going to be diabolical to us. I mean, they really have issues, and they don't mind throwing each other under the bus. They'll take somebody, like say for instance, someone has a hat shop, and they like somebody who's a aristocrat. That's a problem. She's a shop girl. She's from the merchant class. You can't be bothered with her. That's how they act. So they're biased, extraordinarily biased to each other. So somebody like us that's completely different in mind, body, and soul and spirit, they would be very opposed to us on every level.
Well, Wani, I noticed something in 2007 when I lived in DC. I worked at the Smithsonian, and the majority of our visitors were not American, which was shocking to me because Smithsonian's in DC and it's free. So I love the Smithsonian, but when I was there, the museum was new, and the majority of our visitors were from three places, two European countries, and the largest portion of our visitors were from England. The second were French people, and the third large amount were Japanese tourists. But I brought that up to say I was still, I was a very young man and I was still developing my perception about world cultures. And I didn't know what I know now about, the system and racism and whatnot. But what I did analyze that I didn't understand back then is the British, or English, whatever you want to call them, were just vicious. They were very mean. Like they were arrogant, and like I would talk to them, that they would, what did you say? And I would start talking about an exhibit, and they would, I did not ask you that. Can you just tell me what I asked you?
What?
Hell yeah, they were mean as fuck. The French were cool. The French didn't say much. No, my impression, this gonna sound crazy. My impression of the French is they wore really nice perfume. Like they were just quiet and
They have to.
yeah, that's a necessity.
No, I'm just kidding.
And the coolest ones were the Japanese. They had a sense of style that I couldn't define. But back to the point at hand, the English were very like vicious. I got sick and tired of being like put down by English people. But again, this morning I listened to Dr. Kaba Kameen, and Kaba kind of blew my mind with his analysis. His analysis is kind of different, and Kaba addressed this. Dr. Kaba Kameen said that he was talking in terms of the African continent, and he said that the Europeans, particularly the English, created the nation states, which is true. And he said, why did they create nation states like fucking Ghana and you name it, is created by Europeans. He said there was a need for them to create nation states because that's part of their tactic of control. So wanting it's not, even though they're vicious, mean ass people, it's more about I need to separate you in a category like divide and conquer, right? To control you. Whereas a lot of cultures in the world didn't think in terms of state lines and nation states because they most of the world kind of identified with a people. I'm this type of person, whereas the English looked at this is this type of land, so I can fucking dominate it.
Yeah, I noticed them being, they didn't do anything to me, which doesn't mean anything because that's just my experience, but they were very, very vicious toward others around them, which it was like, damn, just calling Greek people names and sneering at Italians, saying they're all gigolos and just it was like wow, and they really seemed very hyper focused on it, and yet they want to live in southern Europe. So they wanted to be in France, they wanted to be in Spain because it's sunnier and warmer. They wanted to be in Portugal, but they were looking down on those people. They wanted to be in Greece, but they were looking down on those people the whole time and just viewing them as filth while they were living with them, which is something that we're learning can happen to us.
It's a projection thing. Bobby Hemmett talked about, and I wish I could find the interview so I can buy the scholarship Bobby Hemmett was reading. But Bobby said that in the beginning, in British history, the English were slaves. I don't know if they were slaves to the Romans or, but they were a very low class people back in antiquity. So it may be a projection. Like people treat you like the bully is beating the shit out of people because deep down the bully is scared to death. So it may be something like that. The English, maybe they know exactly who they are and they're aware of their own history and they try to project it onto others. But I think Kaba kind of hit it on the head. Like you just said, they go to Greece and all these places not for the people. They want the land. They want the resources. And in order to mentally justify taking somebody's shit, which even a child knows, the law books say even a dog knows that taking other shit is wrong. To justify it in their mind, maybe they say, well, then they're not really human. I can take their land. It was some scholarship I'll find in the book later on where Dr. Anderson says that when the dumbass African tribal chiefs were selling slaves to the English, the English said justified taking their shit because they're not. I'm paraphrasing, but he said the African tribal chiefs didn't really respect their land and they didn't respect their wealth. Therefore, they're not worthy of it, which is the stupidest justification you could think. The only thing stupider than that justification was these dumbass African chiefs selling their own people or people that look like them to somebody they didn't fucking understand. But I digress. Go ahead, Patty Cake.
Hey, good evening. Hey, shout out
Hey.
you, Professor Nikki, Wani, family in the building. Happy last supper, feet washing to all of y'all that celebrate. Lent. Let me see. Does the media attack FBA children? So what's MSM? So I can be clear.
Um.
MSM is mainstream media.
Yeah.
Oh, mainstream media. Okay, did the mainstream media attack Emmett Till and Carmelo? Well, of course, the answer is yes. You know, the media does. I think, but I want to add something too. Not only does the media, but the media works with the educational system.
Preach.
If when you're a teacher, they started to or now they started to change the way that they discipline these children. They start to put in these black schools no consequence. No consequence is a strange thing to a black person, a black parent. Because what happens with these no consequence, a new device to I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's when your child comes to school and gets in a fight, tases a teacher, a student, whatever, beats him up. And then the school says, okay, okay, Shaquana, you're gonna go home and you can't come back to school until you come with your parents and we're gonna sit at a table and we're gonna talk. Shaquana grabs her stuff and she go home. Guess what? The next day, Shaquana mama, this is the mother who what couldn't be called. No, she don't go to no parent, nothing. They know all this. They know they got parents that don't care. But guess what? Mama is not gonna let Shaquana mess with her day. She's gonna stop what she's doing and she's gonna bring Shaquana to school. They're gonna get into a room and they're gonna sit there and they're gonna talk and just look, listen, Shaquana. You can't be tasing the vice principal, okay? We just don't want you to do that anymore. Shaquana's gonna look and say, you know what? F you, I don't care. The mama's gonna be like, girl, just you know what? I don't want to be coming up here. I just don't want to be coming up here. And because the mother came to the school, even if Shaquana apologized or not, Shaquana's gonna finish out the rest of her day because they're doing no consequence. I need for you guys to understand. And so now, if you're starting to see a lot more of our children do certain things or act certain ways, this is the reason why.
Well, and you're exactly right, Patty Cake. I noticed that years ago when I was in the classroom in Memphis, Tennessee. That's a national policy, and it's insidious. We live in one of the most evil systems ever. What is that about? Was I think you're asking? Let me tell you exactly what the fuck that's about. These school systems are tied in with the prison pipeline.
That's exactly where I was headed.
Yep. So
Yeah.
you're training children, particularly black children, but white children don't have consequences either, but the conditions are different. So you're training black children. It's psychology. They know exactly what the fuck they're doing. That's based on the theories of what's the guy's name? That evil motherfucker. Not Erickson, Skinner, B.F. Skinner. So we learn through a system of consequences and reward. The best way to train a child is to do two things. When a child does something favorable, give him or her a reward. When he or she does something bad, give him a consequence. That's behavioral conditioning. So the system has figured out if you have a black child who's impressionable, early adolescence, and that black child does egregious things, cusses out a teacher, fights.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a little boy punch the shit out of another little boy. Damn near blood was everywhere. And then both of them was sitting up in class the next day. Nobody got suspended. What the system is doing, trying to do, is train FBA children that
Yep.
no matter what you do, there is no consequence.
Mm.
And then that child graduates and gets in the world with that same behavior. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do, and how the world treat them. Throw your ass in jail, which is exactly what they wanted, because under the 13th Amendment, you can use that child to make Victoria's Secret underwear. You can use that child to make military uniforms. You can use that child to make fucking Starbucks cups, which they sell back for free in prison, mind you, which they sell to us for $10 a cup. It's all about money. Everything is about money. I think Wani, or one of the scholars in here, brought up the medicine, like medicating children. That's not about helping them learn. That's about getting them hooked on some fucking drug. Kaba Kameen was talking about that shit earlier today. He said that he started teaching in the 70s, and there weren't no such thing as Ritalin back then. And he said he had a child that was on Ritalin, and guess what? Mama didn't get her check, and he couldn't get his Ritalin. And he said that child went through a full fucking withdrawal in the classroom. He
Mm-hmm.
hooked on it. So it's very insidious, but I'm glad you brought that point up.
And when they take them off, they go to look for something else
Bam.
to alter themselves in the same way, and it ends up being meth or a lot of cigarettes and drinking or something.
So the system just made money either which way, Wani. If they stay on their medicine, they're paying for medicine for the rest of their life. But if they can't afford their medicine, they got on drugs. And you can use them under the 13th Amendment to make Victoria's Secret underwear. Victoria got a secret. The secret is it's made by black men in prison for fucking free. You understand me?
And didn't they say that the Ritalin affects adults differently? It doesn't have the same effect, so they can't use it. Doesn't it make older children and adults more alert, where it's supposed to relax and make the children more focused?
I don't know what it does to children, but I'll just go ahead and let this out in the air. When I was in law
Um,
school, I
go
had
ahead.
a little like a not a breakdown, but I was overwhelmed. And I couldn't focus, and I got prescribed Adderall just one time. I threw that shit away because when I took Adderall back in 2010, 11. I it made me feel good, like it was a high. That shit was like, I've never taken cocaine, but that shit made me high as a motherfucker. I was functional, but I felt great. I mean, like euphoric, kind of like that feeling you get when you drink a beer. Like it felt good, and I threw it away because I didn't want to get addicted to it. So that shit's dope. It's a fucking
That's why I
narcotic.
don't. That's why I don't take any painkillers. It's got to be bad. If it's that bad, it's a half a dose of Tylenol. If it's that bad, and that's all I will take. I rarely take any. I try not to take too much stuff because I see people getting addicted on it. I see patients going through this and getting violent with the nurses wanting more. It was
Yep.
just more opioids. The opioids are the big problem. But you have the lithium and Adderall, which is they're putting the kids on early, and yeah, when they get off, they look for other things once they get older. When they get off of that stuff that they give them to make them pay attention in school.
Well, Nikki, it is Adderall. That's a narcotic, right?
Adderall is a narcotic. You need an
Wow.
ID to pick it up. Yeah, it is a narcotic, but a lot of college students use it to study to get through college.
Yep. To stay
Mm.
up all night.
Yeah.
Hey, Professor, can I land real quick?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the last thing that I wanted to say was, it's been an experiment or experience when you're seeing the no consequence in the classroom, and then you go to work at a correctional facility, and then you see these kids that just like you said graduate from high school. When you see their face and they come in, they look like, I don't know why I'm here. They really have this look. They look like somebody's child. they look like I can't explain it, but the amount of fear that they have on their face, and so we actually need to start pulling our kids to the side, especially our young black boys, and explaining to them, about racism in America, and not just that, like what can happen to them, what happens when they go out and and they can accuse you of a crime or how they're going to treat you, that the system is bad. We really need to start honing in on this because the faces that they make, y'all, will make you just cry. And it's like, and then you're looking at them like one boy that I got in my classroom. uh I was talking to him and he just had this look on his face, and I told him, I said, baby, you like to go to McDonald's or go out to eat whenever you want to, and go down to the liquor store and go grab you some of them chips, them fried chips and stuff you like. Yes, ma'am. I said, well, then you need to stay out of here and don't come back. He said, I'm gonna do the best I can. I promise you, Miss Ed. I pro. Child, I checked up on him. He went and re-enrolled in the Maya Angelou, got his high school diploma, and ended up going into the military. like oh, it takes nothing but some time to just pull these children to the side and let them know it ain't it ain't good. All of this clout chasing to commit a crime to say you've been to jail one time or been to this, it ain't that ain't the play no more. That's whack. We need to stop that. We clout chasing when you graduating, when you're coming out of basic training. When you started your own business. Yesterday, I met a 19-year-old who started his own lawn business, but he's registered and he's trying to get government contracts. Black American young man, 19, came from New York down here, had his little business card. He don't even have a website, but he's got his UEI and his case number. He can actually do business and pick up a government contract. That's the things that we need to start putting in our kids' minds. And I land and thank y'all for letting me speak.
Patty Cake, I'm glad you said that because that goes to the title. Does the media attack FBA children? Yes, it's not just the corporate media, it's the music. Our dear brother, I almost said Dr. David Banner, that would be appropriate. David Banner said he was rapping. He was real smart. He went to graduate school at University of Maryland, and he would travel to New York to on the side to try to get a record deal for years. And he said he'd be rapping about God and stuff. And they loved him. He said the ARs, he called them the suits. The suits loved me. And he said one day he went to New York, and he said a white attorney, A&R from the record company, pulled him aside and said, man, we fucking love you, but we're under a mandate from the top to not sign anybody who's doing positive black music, positive rap. And David Banner said he went and wrote, I think the song was Like a Pimp or something. He wrote a negative song, and he said he went from living in his van, homeless, to getting $1 million check overnight. So that feeds into the media machine attacking our children by giving them this ideology of, go be ratchet. There's money in that. There's clout, according to a Patty Cake. There's clout in being sexy red. I've had an undergrad drop out of college because she said we were having a talk. And I overheard her talking to one of her girlfriends talking about, I'm leaving because I can make more money. It don't make sense being a nurse. I could work on OnlyFans and make more money. That came from the media apparatus spitting a lie to her. And I'm not blaming Sexy Red because in my view, Sexy Red is almost kind of like a victim. There's a sadness in her eyes if you look at her. But it's done through the media apparatus to attack our children and give them all these false narratives, again, to feed the fucking system. The 13th Amendment can use you as a slave, and that's what they want to do.
I know there's a sadness in her eyes, and I get what you're saying, but I need to push back on that. She's still a symbol of something that we don't want our daughters to look up to. So we got to push back on when we see her coming out with lip gloss talking about it's gonorrhea flavored lip gloss. She's an enemy to us at this point. She's turned. She's been used. She decided Signed the papers. She decided to drink the juice, so she gonna have to just deal with whatever comes with it. She's an enemy at this point. With all due respect to you,
No, no, I was
she's
talking
the
through a
enemy.
mute. You're exactly right. And I'm gonna say one more thing, and we'll move on to different. One of my today, well, I was talking about the standard we were talking about was what are the very interesting standard. It says what are the first standard says what are the formal qualifications to be president. And you go to the Constitution, and the Constitution in Article 2, the executive branch said the president has to be 35 years old, a natural citizen, and had to live in America for 14 years before he or she can run for president. So today we had another standard attached to that that said, what are the informal qualifications for president? I said, oh shit, I'm going there with this one. And we start talking about certain schools, and one of the students brought up it's like, Dr. A, is it aren't they in like organizations like secret societies? And I just let them talk about that, and one of my little brilliant kids was like, put me on. She gave me a video of a guy. I'm gonna tell y'all when I look it up, and I'm gonna go to the next speaker, but it's a guy who was a big time drug dealer, and he got involved with a girl whose family was from the islands. Long story short, um, her one of her uncles got him involved in witchcraft. Listen to this shit clear, y'all. So he got, because people were fucking with him. He's scared of dying, and he's like, nobody's gonna help me, so I need something else. So she got him into like fucking straight full witchcraft. And anyway, he got into that for a minute. And long story short, he said he was at a Botanica or wherever, like the voodoo witchcraft people buy their whatever they buy. And he said he went to one in New Orleans to buy some stuff to cast spells and shit. And he said he said the place, it was a hole in the wall nobody knew about. You had to know somebody to go there. And he said he saw all kind of celebrities in there buying witchcraft stuff. He mentioned the name, and I'm gonna say the name that he
Who
mentioned.
is it?
He said he went in there and saw allegedly. He allegedly saw what's Beyonce's sister's name?
Uh-oh.
Solange. And he said he kept looking at her. He said, "Man, that ain't." And then he talked to the voodoo priest in there that was selling shit. This is like a off the market, hidden place in New Orleans. And he said, "Is that who I think it is?" And he was like, the dude was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All the stars come in here and buy ingredients to cast spells," and that got my full attention. But I'm gonna leave it right there. Different. What's on your mind?
Hey y'all, what's up? Hey Wani, what's up? Hey Nikki, what up, y'all?
Peace.
What's up, brother?
Hey.
Hey, what's up? Man, I saw that video of that one boy. It ties into the conversation. What's that boy name? The one who made he made like a car out of using garbage. Like he turned like the garbage into chemicals or something like that.
I don't remember the
You know
name.
who I'm
I don't know what
talking
you're talking
about?
about.
Yeah, man, he got online talking about this all lives matter shit because I guess a
I'm gonna
bunch
put
of
it in a
people was trying to
jumbotron.
warn him. Yeah, tried to warn him to not work with white people, at least try to work with some people because it was people online trying to tell him to work with certain people like black companies and stuff. And he got upset about that. Like, that's what we're all the same. That's the problem with our people. We look at color. I'm like, I'm so tired of black people who's in that type of position and they try to give black people a lecture like we're the fucking problem. I'm tired of that shit. That is so annoying to watch that. I saw that. I couldn't even watch the whole video. That stuff pissed me off. Pharrell and all them talk like that. I don't know why some black people do that, but one thing I noticed about our people, it's a lot of us that kiss white ass.
How is
It's a
this
lot of us that kiss
happening?
white people.
I am
Yeah,
confused. I just don't
mm,
get it. Tell us about it. 'Cause
yeah,
I'm confused about the kissing the white ass. What is their problem?
I don't know. It's just I notice it be the older crowd that be on that stuff too though, but it be a lot of us that do be on it.
They
What
ain't us.
state?
It be
I don't think that
Dude
it
us.
be a
pointed
lot
to
of
a
us.
sore on his leg. You know how the white meat shows when you hurt yourself and the white meat shows? He says, "See, my I
Mm.
have a bruise and it's white. I'm white underneath." I was like, "Oh my God."
Is
What?
it, are
And
these
it start,
people Black American, Nikki?
girl, like what?
This makes no sense.
He a black American. It's just it's
What
a lot of
state?
black people that do
What
that. It's
state?
just it's annoying to see it.
I know that he was talking in he was visiting Chicago yesterday. I don't know if he was visiting, but I know he was
And it
talking.
was all black people
No,
outside.
there
It's
were
all
two.
black
There
people.
were two white men standing there, and they weren't cheering the same way the black people were. The black people were so excited to watch them. The white people were looking like they were trying to, like they were taking notes in their head, and like they were trying to take. That man is in a dangerous
Because that's what they
position.
known for.
That
They
man is
known
in a
for taking.
dangerous position. We've seen this happen before. I don't know how to help him.
He might be going like he might be walking in the fire because his
There are
dumb
some
ass got
there
online
are some
and
people up type
mm.
there are some people up top who have tried to reach out to him. There are several people who have tried to reason with him. People, a lot of us are still praying for him, but he's taking that stance. And it's just like when you have kids and they don't want to listen to you and they want to run off, your daughter want to run off with that guy. Sometimes you just have to just throw your hands up and
But
say,
here's
I'm
the
sorry.
crazy thing. They seen it times and times again. That is weird to me. Like, I don't know what's wrong with somebody because I understand because I post something on my stuff saying that as me growing up, because I always been the odd one out. I always had a hard time trying to fit in with my own when I was growing up. You know what I mean? I always went through that when I was younger. But as I got older, it depends on who you're around. It's not necessarily about your ethnicity. It's about what type of people you surround yourself around. That's all what it has to fucking do with. That's it. All this weird shit, like, oh, they're trying to give black people lectures, man. I looked at that. I'm like, man, bro, if you don't get the fuck on, I'm like, bro, they warning your dumb ass. These people do have a history of stealing shit. They always take from us. That ain't nothing new. That's why they were saying it. But it's just annoying to see somebody smart like they just think like that. They always try to all us, but we all together. They don't think like that. White people do not think like that. A majority of them do not have that mentality.
I have to go back and find a
Them,
video that where he was in Chicago and all of those black people were you could just tell that they were so happy for him and that they just looked at him as family. And then
yeah, that pissed me
the
off
two kind
seeing
of
that.
white guys were standing
I
there.
saw that.
They were not just taking notes, they were stealing in their mind. They weren't
Just
happy
recording.
for
They was recording
they
and
were not
everything.
happy for him. They were there for another reason. You could see it in their eyes. And I don't know what to do about the young man because he's a young man. He's smart, but that doesn't
Yeah,
mean
it's
he's,
agitating to see that,
yeah.
but it's really agitating. I'm tired of seeing a lot of our bets do it because it's our bets doing that. It's just not the ones who got a little bit of fame and they talking down on their own like Lil Wayne dumbass. I'm talking about the ones who smart, they know how to make certain unique things like certain engines like that, like like engines that run on water and shit like that. It'd be a lot of them talking like that.
Well, it's again, it goes back to the title. It's the media apparatus, it's national public policy, and a lot of our, unfortunately, a lot of our very talented brothers and sisters, particularly our brothers but sisters too, they're fully aware that if you please the national machine, there's a lot of money tied into pleasing dominant culture, and it's like David Banner said, he didn't get a record deal until he dissed or portrayed black culture in a negative light. There's money in that. Who controls the money in America? You know what I'm saying? So people are aware of that.
That's why yeah, I get mad when some people because I'm in school right now for audio production. That's why I get mad at some people when they said our culture's trash right now. Look at the arts. I'm like, it's not us. It's the dominant society. It's the people that run the entertainment world. They the ones that push out these garbage ass artists like Lil Nas X who can't even sell out a fucking stadium. But they push him out like he the biggest thing ever. He's not. He's a one hit wonder. A one hit wonder who they said who wasn't even on no gay stuff for real. They said he got like that when he got yeah, that's what they said. He got on that when he got into the fame, when the people let him in the door, that's when he got into that.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of people talking about that he's not even like that. And he got on TV and kissed
Hmm.
men on stage and everything. So
Yep, don't do anything.
it's just, yeah,
It's
it's,
Yep.
manufactured entertainment is
but nobody's
different.
watching it.
That's
That's the
right. They
weird
can't
thing.
force us because entertainment used to be more organic, like maybe somebody saw you in a some little dive and then the next thing you were in a better venue and the next thing it was organic. You built up an audience. But now they just say, nope, you like these people. The Beatles are very famous. Look at the girls screaming over them. Women are peeing in their pants. They're famous. They're famous. They're famous. So they'll make
And didn't make
something.
none of that shit.
They'll make
It
them
was a black
famous.
man making all that music. Like it was a black man that literally made all their fucking music.
The Beatles were not even good musicians. They
Yeah,
were
they
one
were
step
horrible.
above the Monkees. Remember them? You don't have to.
Well, Dick Gregory,
It's a terrible group.
the talent all goes back to a black man. Dick Gregory claimed, and I believe him. He claimed that he wrote the Beatles record. They would consult Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory said he put the Beatles on by giving. I forget the name of the song.
I don't want to go into all that.
Okay.
I don't know who put them on, but they're goofy and they're not cute. And the media was like, they're fine. Look at these women screaming. I mean, it was
Trash.
outrageous. That was
And
fake. They
and
paid
Elvis
people to
Presley in that
scream.
same category too.
Right. Now we know where
He
Elvis
sucks
Presley
too.
got his stuff because that's documented, and he even said where he got it, and we can see Roy Hamilton performing, and he had a record deal before Elvis, so we know he recorded that style before. So I really need to see this Beatles information. If it's just hearsay, that's interesting, but I really want to see that information because
Yeah,
uh, the Beatles sounds like things the Beatles would say. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like one song or thought it was interesting, but I'm not dancing to all that. Some of the lyrics were interesting on a couple of songs, and that's it. Nobody's
that's
getting
because they didn't
down.
make it.
Nobody's getting down to that or grooving to that or doing anything to it. It's just there.
I like that you brought that up, Wani, because the media does big up on white musicians. I've been put on. One of my students put me on to Tiny Desk. I fucking love Tiny Desk. NPR. If those of you don't know, NPR got like a little series where musicians will show up to a little room with no sound machines and shit. They just got instruments and a mic. And I was listening to some black musicians just kill Alicia Key, man, sound one Usher, and then they'll have these people sound fucking wonderful. Her sound better in on Tiny Desk than she sound on the her records. Well, anyway, they had some white musicians up. They had Justin Timberlake and Coldplay, and I used to like Coldplay back in the day. But when you listen to them without all the computers and the what do you call them, sound machines and shit? I'm not a musician. I don't know what it's called, the auto tuner or whatever. I was so shocked. Justin Timberlake, look at that Justin Timberlake Tiny Desk. He sounded awful, and Coldplay sounded. They didn't sound good at
Don't
all.
sound good at all.
No.
Voice shaking when he's dancing, everything.
So again, the media bigs them up, like Wani said. Different. I don't know if you landed your plane or not. You can land your plane if you need to.
My only thing is, I feel like my only thing is, I feel like it needs to be a solution, far as with having our very best, and to at least have them where their mindset isn't like, dude, up here talking this we all live matter bullshit when white people even feel the same way. He up there defending a group of people who will kill his ass and take his shit. Like that's the only thing that pissed me off, like seeing that. And oh yeah, bro, and plus by the way, it's one more group that sound good until you hear them in person. The Gorillas.
Oh
I
wow.
don't know them.
Yeah.
See
Yeah,
that
the ones that
that
used to be on Adult Swim a lot, and I was a fan of
oh
them. That
yeah.
like them, yeah, yeah, it was them and Lincoln Park. Them were the only two main ones. Them, Lincoln Park, and Queens with Beverly Hills.
Well, training our
Yeah,
people to believe, because I keep hearing this. Well, I expect stupidity to come out of African mouths, but I don't expect us to forget our whole lineage. So I don't know who's saying a lot of things that they're saying, but uh, just think about it. If my lineage comes from people that have been enslaved, Jim Crowed, lynched, and then find ourselves here, That's a different experience than some random person that just crawled across the border or just flew over here. They don't know all
Preach.
those things. So they're sitting up there going, "You're being racist." They don't even know what racism is. How are we racist if it's a system? So that's number one. They don't even know what racism is. They haven't lived with white people in a racist structure. They don't know anything about it. So they're just looking at something from one dimension and always wanting to open their dumb mouths and talk about it. That's the problem. Is there's nothing wrong with not knowing things. I don't expect any immigrant to come over here and know the history of America. And there's too many things to know. There's too many things, too many references to know about. And I can just imagine them listening to what's that, Family Guy. And Family Guy makes references, joking about things in the 1800s sometimes. What are they thinking? Because they'll reference some old stuff and make fun of stuff from way back. And these immigrants listening, they can't know what that's about. You have to be American to catch a lot of the stuff that some of these shows talk about. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about racism, and yet they want to come here and be authorities on racism. Like that Emmanuel
Facts.
show. Let's talk to the police. So what do you know about white police officers and the history of them with black Americans? You come from Nigeria. You have SARS. That's your police blowing your black face off for nothing, mugging you on the road. That's not what we're doing here. That's different. It's the same outcome. You're dead, but it's a different thing. And they come over here like, "Oh no, we don't have those types of things in Nigeria. We're going to address you not getting along with the white police officers." That's why those people are banned. That's why they're hateable. That's why people post jobs and say no Nigerians need apply. That's why the arrogance that they have and the lack of information and the segueing into other people's countries and trying to talk about historical things going on there is ridiculous. And that's why they have the problem that they have. And I'm not even thinking about them anymore. They can do whatever they want to do globally, but the moment I see them, they better mind their business. They better mind their business with me.
No cap. Quickly, with the reference I made about the witchcraft thing, I put it in the jumbotron. It's Richard Lorenzo, and if y'all get a chance, it's very interesting to listen to. We're gonna go ahead and go to. I'm not sure. Was it Jimmy James or was it Ronnie?
I don't think Jimmy James got a chance to talk. Did Jimmy James talk
I
yet? Or was it
I
Jimmy
don't think he
Johnson?
did. Go ahead, Jenny James.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, hey, appreciate y'all. Good evening to the hosting panel. Professor, if I'm correct, were you a Marine?
No, no, I trained with the Marines.
Oh,
Yeah, I wasn't a Marine. I served in the total force community for a little while, but I did a leadership training with the Marine Corps.
okay, cool. If you were, I was just gonna give you a hoorah. But quickly, I'll just say this two things, man. What you call it? Y'all, I heard y'all earlier say about, do we worship the same God as them people? And the thing is, what's crazy to me is when you mention reparations to them, they'll tell you things like that was so long ago. But out the same mouth and out the same Bible, they'll tell you we deserve to be under the curse of Adam and Eve, which predates slavery by I don't know how long. And then on secondly, with Carmelo Anthony, what you call? I think the media's playing a little trick with the charge that they gave him. With, I'm gonna tell on myself real quick. I hope y'all don't beat me up for this, but I was in law enforcement for 11 years, and when we went to the academy, they had what they call four culpable mental states: intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, and negligence. And the charge that they charging him with, it deals with you intentionally doing something. They saying he intentionally murdered Austin Metcalf. I disagree with that because he proved that even though he should have talked to the law without a lawyer, or before being Mirandized or whatever, he said, is he gonna be okay? And I told him not to, and all of that. It all indicated that he did not do that on purpose. And a lot of people are saying that they hope he don't get put to death. They're gonna kill him. Woo, woo. But the thing is, he's not being charged with capital murder down here in the state of Texas. Capital murder capital punishments, they are punishable by life imprisonment without parole or being put to death. He's being charged with first degree, which is 5 to 99 years. I think he can beat that charge because he did not intentionally do anything. Hopefully, they don't trump him up with another charge. Hopefully, they don't try to lower it or nothing like that. Because I want the boy to walk free. You know what I'm saying? And those couple of mental states determine the degree of the crime that you have committed. That's why Amber Geiger got she got 10 years in prison because they charged her with third degree. But I think the media is trying to tack that charge on there to make him seem like he's just a murderer and he did it on purpose and he just wanted the boy dead. And all of that is false and all of that is cap. And I seen today I was gonna donate some more money to the boy, but I seen that his mama didn't get none of the money from the Give Send Go thing. I don't know how true that is. She had a video saying she never received a dime, but what you call it? Once again, like I said yesterday,
She said,
uh,
didn't they say she can't, she will be able to though later or something, or in next tomorrow or something?
yeah,
Seven. She has. They told her that it was going to take seven
Okay,
days.
so it's not that she's not going to get it.
okay, good to go. And can we? Well, I go look that up. I ain't gonna worry y'all with that. But yeah, hope
Well,
the man wins. Okay.
that's interesting because a lot of the black Sambo coon ass bitches who said that they want him to be executed before we even got the information, they can uh die. They can die. Okay?
Yeah, that's all for people who want that boy dead. But
Did you see these people's tweets? I don't want to see that person ever again. Death penalty, and you don't even know what happened. And you're calling for the death penalty multiple times in a tweet. What kind of money could you pay a coon to say all that?
Wow.
Is that money or they just really want to say that? I can't believe it's money. Somebody tell me what's going on cuz that seems like it came from the heart.
Self hate.
Sister One. Hey, shout out to the room,
Yeah.
everybody. I was in the space earlier, but it just kept dropping. Like Professor would be talking in the mute, it was just dropped like reception and everything. So I had to reboot my phone, password and everything. But I just want to say, Sister Ronnie, I know you ready to fight right now. I know you ready to drop kick some people and hit them
I
in the
am
throat.
ready, Jane. I
I was
am.
just over there in Judge Joe Brown space.
I don't want to
And
talk.
I just had to tell you, and I told him, I disagree with you, Judge. In your eyes, this young brother is guilty. You called him a punk. You said he's a Jordan wearer and all that, and I disagree with you. He kept trying to backpedal, but when you listen to him talk, I told him, like, Judge, I disagree. And they kept muting me and everything, but
Is this money? Is this money, Twizzle? Or is this just really weird people that I don't understand?
it's coons, it's sellouts, it's bed bugs, and it's these motherfucker people who too busy trying to
Bed
sit up
bugs.
and be next to the be next to the white people. That's it. That's all it is, and that's it's the most
He
important thing.
next to
Sister Wani,
is
it's the
he
most
next to white
important thing.
people?
No, Sister Wani, it's the most important thing, and everybody in here gonna see this. It's a bunch of scared people right now. We are exposing a bunch of scary motherfuckers right now.
Mm-mm.
People are scared to stand up. People are scared to fight. Not only that, it's people who are scared to even speak their own mind or voice their own opinion. You know what I mean? Because they so scared of the dominant society, either they're sleeping with them, laying with them, or they want to be next to them. So they don't want to have no records or no receipts that they have anything going against them. And I hate to say that, that's what your Honor, Mr. Law Enforcement. He's pro law enforcement, so he's going to be on the side of law enforcement either way it go. You know what I'm saying? And
But
if you
law
listen to him
enforcement
talk,
waits. They wait for you to get the information out before you start
hmm
forming
he
opinions. What's
man,
the deal?
I just had
Hey,
a conversation with him for like 30 minutes, and he is guilty. That young brother is guilty, and Judge Joe Brown eyes that if he could, he'll put him up for the death penalty. And
what?
I told him, I disagree with you, brother. I land my plane.
I
Can I
got a
can I can I land my plane, Professor, real quick?
what? Yeah, I'm gonna let you land, but I got a question for you, Jimmy James. You said you were a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so man, help me out with this because I was when I took crim law in law school my first year, I was taught. My professor said that self defense is an affirmative defense. So, since you know about this in crim law, if those gentlemen, if the white guys approached the young man and threaten in a threatening fashion, and he felt like his life was in danger, and he reacted accordingly. They were the aggressors, right? How is he not? How is that not self-defense? What am I missing?
Well, I don't see how that's not self-defense as well. Well, I'm gonna make this clear real quick. I don't understand why Judge Joe Brown's talking like that. From in law enforcement, I don't just go along with what them people were saying in the academy, all of that. But the thing is, when them two dudes rolled up on him like that, the thing is, the stand your ground law means wherever you at, you don't have to vacate the wherever you at just because
Right,
They
somebody
had him
says you got
bagged
to leave.
into a
You don't
tent.
that
They had him bagged
yeah
into a corner. He had no place to retreat. He had to fight out of there.
right. And the thing is, what it is, they really mad about how the boy reacted. But yeah, I don't see how that's not self defense. You rolled up on him, and as a law enforcement officer, I'd have told the Metcalf brothers, why didn't y'all come get me? Why didn't y'all come get one of my fellow law enforcement officers or something like that?
right,
Why did y'all do that? You do not have an authority here to just be telling folks like you can't be here and stuff. Like Tariq said, that's Jim Crow all day, man. Like people can't just deputize themselves and jump out here and do stuff like that. Like you're not a lawman or nothing like that, man. Like what are you doing? People out here impersonate all the time and they get in trouble. But this time it ended in a death. You know what I'm saying? It was a fatal move for Carmelo Anthony. But I tell people all the time, it doesn't really take like when you get jumped by somebody and it's like 4 or 5 people there, they'll get in each other's way when they swinging and kicking, and they probably won't even do that much damage. But two people can actually cause a whole lot of damage because they can stand on either side and have two focal points of attack. So the thing is, those two big old boys jumping on him like that could have really hurt Carmelo. I'm just being real. They could have really did some serious damage to that boy. So the thing is, when he reacted like that, he didn't come out his bag. He didn't brandish. He didn't do nothing like that. They trying to say why did he have a knife? It could have been legal to have that knife, 5.5 inches. If it was smaller than that, he could have been justified in having that knife. That hasn't come out yet, which is awfully funny to me why they haven't brought that out. Because if it was really something gonna work against the boy, which I know they want to do with the media, that's making him look bad, they would have brought out the size of the knife so they could go ahead and put the charge on him and make him seem more guilty. But yeah, I don't see how in that thick ass law book we got in the state of Texas, how is that not self defense? You
right,
rolled up on that boy. You didn't take the right precautions. You didn't call no coach. Somebody could have got him out of there. I mean, damn, was the boy? He was just trying to get out the rain. But I ain't gonna get into my personal opinions about sportsmanship. I'd have let the boy just, hey man, get out the rain. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever, and then go on about your business. I mean, damn. I mean, I don't own this spot. I didn't pay. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see how
Can
that's not
you
self defense, man.
can you tell me what you think about the media making a bunch of lying ass stories to make him look bad? Do you feel when does it cross over into inciting violence?
I agree that does incite some things. They'll try to make it seem like they're wasting the money. See, what they try to do is they try to make it seem like the money they got raised for him was wasted on cars and houses. I think that's what they really tried to do.
Yeah,
And
they're
yeah,
trying to incite violence, and then we found out that that's not true, that the woman didn't even withdraw any money yet.
right. And yeah, that's trying to rile them people up because of where he's at. And they know. See, the thing is, nobody from Frisco that I've heard has really come out like that and been in Carmelo's defense like that because of where he's at. From my hometown, they would have came out for me. From in Hempstead, over in Houston, and he's up there where he's probably don't got a lot of people that's look like him. But
Is that
So
like
that's
the
a
North
white
Dallas
area.
area? Is that like the Dallas area?
yeah,
Frisco.
Frisco's the Dallas area. Frisco and Plano is known for being very rich towns, and the police department start out with very high salaries up there, up to 90,000 in Plano.
wow,
And people,
Hey, can I jump in right quick? Look, they said, well, I ain't gonna say they said, but they're not pulling out and telling you what kind of knife it is because they said it was a fucking what was it called? A cleat sharpener
What's that?
to
that's
sharpen
it.
your cleats.
It's what you
wow,
clean the dirt out
Track.
your cleats with. Like when you
Damn,
got
that's
hella dirt
short.
and grass in your cleats, it's what you clean your cleats out
That's
with.
short, right?
Yeah.
Less than
It's
5 inches.
see
Okay.
a knife is legal as long as it's not longer than the palm of your hand. If you open up your hand and spread it wide, you take your index finger and you lay it across your hand. If if that knife is no longer than that, it's legal. If that knife is not sticking longer than your hand, it's legal to carry. And that's why you saying that's why they're not showing
Facts.
that knife. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because it was a cleat
Facts.
sharpener, and I heard that from someone that was there. I know a couple folks.
Hey, real quick, and I'm gonna drop down for real. I'm gonna drop down
go
myself.
ahead.
I was in a similar situation to Carmelo, even though I was probably wronger than Carmelo. when I was in 10th grade, it was some dudes that moved to my hometown from Houston. They went to school with us. Long story short, they was in class throwing this little taped up paper ball. They threw it across the thing. This white dude named Sonny picked the ball up. I went over. I say, Sonny, won't you just go ahead and give them their ball back, man? Don't play with them dudes. You know who it is. And so the thing is, he went to talking this noise to me like, you ain't fucking getting it. And I'm gonna do woo 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 woo. I said, well, okay, if you feeling froggy, then leave. And the thing is, where he messed up at is like he didn't really know who he was dealing with. I was a short dude, 135. So he got up. He was a big boy. He's like 5'11", close to 200 pounds. So he pushed me and he pushed me again, and I hit the desk. Bow, got up, and he didn't know I was left-handed. I was fast. I hit him with 5 quick punches. The whole class went, ooh. And then the whole class testified that I really wasn't in the wrong. I was trying to break up the fight. Because if Simo then from Houston would have got a hold of me, it would have been a murder. So the thing is, they said, even though he struck first and everything, they still had to suspend me from school because I threw the punches.
Right.
Even though he rocked me against that desk, I got up and hit him with
Because
the
you
snake before.
won. That's
What
why.
I'm saying?
Because you won. That's
Right,
why.
right. But I'm gonna land my plane with that,
Did
man.
they have
Appreciate
that?
y'all.
Did
Appreciate you,
they
brother.
have that rule where if you're involved in a, that's the rule they had in my school. If you're involved in an altercation, you get suspended. So if you get hit, you get suspended, even
It's
if you
still
didn't hit anybody.
it's still the same way. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, excuse me. Can I interrupt?
Well, actually, brother, I think where the gentleman at? Ronnie was ahead of you. Go ahead,
Okay.
Ronnie.
All right.
Ronnie John. Ronnie
Hey, yeah,
going
what's up?
once.
What's
Oh,
going
what's
on?
up?
What's going on? What's going on? No, I was gonna touch on something with that the kid that's creating that plastiline, the stuff. I was looking up an article and it says that he's from the metro Atlanta area, but when I hear
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it said he's from the metro Atlanta area, but when I hear him talk, I mean I'm saying like everybody from Atlanta ain't got like a deep accent, but he don't sound like he was raised around black Americans in Atlanta. It sounds like he was raised more around white people. Like I thought he was like from like the West Coast or like the Midwest, but he's from the Atlanta area. And to go on to what Wani was talking about earlier about as far as like how somebody black don't have the knowledge of what these people done did to our creators and inventors for him to be down south talking how he talking, he has to have like a tether background. Like some of these tethers, I believe, are changing their name. He could have been adopted or something like that. And then the other thing I
Heather or
wanted,
Coonish or Coonish.
yeah. And then the other thing about what the title said as far as like does the media attack FBA children? I wanted to say this before I land. If you look at the current media from like all aspects, movies, TV shows, um, music, there's not no black Americans between the ages of like 9 or damn near 25 or 26 that's in the media doing anything positive. I'm talking about like, can we even name two or three? Like, I'm talking about at all. So it's like they damn near cleared the board, and all our kids, the only thing when they look at media, it's gonna be sexy red. It's gonna be the sex, or it's gonna be some tethers, or it's gonna be a high mixed person that's probably dating somebody in real life. Like I forgot that mixed girl that's getting all the movie roles, but there's no young black American. Like, can anybody even name one in music or movies? If we can't name our kids, we ain't got nobody to look. They like clearing the board in totality. So I just wanted to say that. That's all I got to say, and I'll land.
Facts. We're gonna go to I think IB. IB, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I say to the family, Sister Wani, Mr. Allen, Sister Nikki, I say to y'all and the family. Another thing that I wanted to tap in on was that, the Ritlins and The what's that other one?
Adderall.
The Adderall. Adderall is meth. If a meth addict and he goes to the doctor, what they give him is Adderall. So they're ushering that to our kids at the grade ages of 5 and up. And what they're doing is they're getting our kids chemically dependent, and then they're putting them in these special classrooms. So then this is it's called the prisoner pipeline. What you guys was talking about is very true. My son was attacked at a school. You know, we up here in the Northwest, and you know we're black. And my son, it was all kind of kids riding in the school, and they attacked my son, and a parent jumped on my son, and they charged my son, and he got a felony on his record. And none of the white kids were charged. Nobody else was charged but my child. But the first thing they try to do is put your kids on Adderall or Ritalin. When they get them on that, you have an IEP. Then all of a sudden they put them on Social Security, and then they're trying to get them taken out of the black homes. See, and then this is another thing with that boy at that school. That boy was all the way totally in the right. He did not do nothing wrong. He protected himself. When they bagged him up there, he did what he was supposed to do. Now, all them kids and everywhere in Texas, they carrying AKs around. They carrying guns around. Why all of a sudden is a knife against the law? It wasn't even supposed to be a knife. But what I'm trying to tell y'all is watch them. They put your kids on drugs or Ritalins or Adderall. They're already pre-drugging them. When they go to jail and they prison the pipeline, they get out and they on drugs, and you wonder why your kid look like a zombie. That's the reason why. And I'm
Facts.
gonna land my plane. And I love y'all family. And hey, let's keep doing and keep pushing this line.
You know what? I was just speaking to the professor about that, how Black American, specifically mothers, advocate for their children to be treated like the white children. So they beg for these diagnoses to get medication, and then they get Social Security. So they've been begging. Their latest beg is that, why isn't my child not getting diagnosed with autism? They're ignoring me. I want the same treatment that the white women get. You see, they want these they fight for these diagnoses, and that's dangerous because the European has been drugging their children. They don't like people that have personalities because their goal is to have people indoctrinated and sitting in the class like zombies. And if some little Johnny has a personality or he's pulling someone's pigtails, they'll railroad his ass and put him on drugs and have him tranquilized. And yes, he will grow up, and then later they'll say you can't have this drug anymore because you're an adult, and then he'll be on meth. So they do that to their own, but we're asking for these doctors and teachers to give our children these things too. I've literally listened to them begging to get these drugs. And yes, it's kind of they get tricked into it because the teacher says your child is a problem and this is the only thing you can really do is drug them like our children are drugged. And so they go along with it because they really don't even know what else to do.
And I have one more point. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna tell you, black family, when your babies are born or anybody's having babies, them immunization shots is the reason why they're getting that autism. So
Yep.
make sure when you get um if you guys want to learn more about this, I'll do the research. My wife and all my kids, make sure you only get the main necessity shots. They're giving them shots, and you don't know your baby can't speak, and then all of a sudden he has autism. Now your child is damaged for life. So just be careful, black family. When
Are you gonna
anybody's having children, be careful with them shots.
I
are
heard
you
that.
spacing them are you spacing them out? Because I feel like if it's suspect,
Mm.
then why do they get so mad when
I'll
you
make them
say,
work
okay,
out.
I'll
They
get the
playing sports.
vaccinations?
Mhm.
Hold on,
Oh,
Professor.
I'm sorry.
So, my question was, when you are concerned about the vaccinations, right? and you see all these parents swearing to God their children were a certain way, and then after the vaccination, now they're different. Why do they resist spacing the shots out? Because we don't know what's in the shot. What was in the shot when I got the shot could be totally different. We don't
Well,
know what it is.
I
We're not.
this is another thing, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but another thing is the shots are based on the location. If you live in the hood, you get the hood shots. If you live out here like where we at, if you go where the white people at, you're gonna get the good shots. It's the same thing with the COVID, or sorry, but the jab. When you go get the
That could
jab,
be true, like if they're giving the shots at the health department. Sometimes there's these big health department roundups where you'll see a bunch of people coming in. They'll have these special clinics
yeah,
for
that's
shots
right.
where a bunch of people come in for about 3 weeks, and everybody in the neighborhood comes in and gets shots. That's probably what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, what it is it's like I said, we have a small black community out here, and the black community over where they give us different shots than they give the people out in
How do you
Beaverton, like
know?
out
How do you
here,
know? How do you
or
know? How do you
where
know?
the richer areas.
How do
They,
you
and
know?
I've heard this from nurses that there's even different shots
How do
that
you know they're giving different shots based on
is
what?
based on nurses and people that work in the system. See, out here we have a lot of whistleblowers. So, and that's the thing about out here. They even the white people protect everybody out here. So,
Well, I have
that
enough sense to know not to line up with a bunch of people that's all the same. I already know that. And we should already know that as a group, not to be bunched up together doing something
yes,
like
ma'am.
that. But if there's if you are scared, I don't know why the doctors resist saying you can space the shots out. Because you don't want to give a baby a whole bunch of something at the same time. You really don't. I don't know why they feel like they need to do that. It's a baby.
Real talk. Wani brought up woke something up that we always run to do what the dominant society does, and what I learned in grad school is these medications are tested on. And y'all, if you type lab rat in Google and hit images, it's an albino rat. They're testing drugs on non-melanated rats, and just basically drugs don't affect us the same way they affect the dominant society. When I used to go to the dentist, I needed more what do you call it, the numbing stuff.
Anesthesia.
Novocaine.
Yeah, I needed more. Like I could still feel that shit, when they were giving me the standard dose, where the standard dose didn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? We're different, which is why we need our own shit.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Nikki?
Yeah, our muscle mass is different. Our fat and muscle mass is different, and a lot of times that stuff absorbs and not just absorbs into your cells, it absorbs into your muscle and fat, so it's not going to work the same. There's a lot of things that don't. And you know what really does not work the same? Heart medication and
Wow.
antidepressants. Different classes work better for black people, and there's some heart medications that make black people just break out in rashes and everything. It's just horrible.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Professor.
I just find it
I'm
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead, Wani and then Twizzle.
Okay, I just find it strange that, during my time as a child, we all got vaccinations. Nobody had peanut allergies. You never even heard of somebody having a peanut allergy, but now it's common. Everybody has allergies. A lot of people they're sensitive to vaccinations. They have vaccination injuries. They've actually paid reparations for vaccination injuries. So they need to stop pretending like that's not a thing. They're lying. You can Google it. So uh, if there's so many people complaining, why not space the vaccinations out? I'm not against vaccinations because I don't want to see people get polio and mumps and chicken pox and all that stuff again. But yeah, we need to find out what's in these vaccinations, really, because there has to be something different, or either we're different. Something is different because we're having too many problems from the vaccinations.
There's no reason for it to be hollering a baby with all that mess. There's no reason to be. eh, Okay, there's that first shot they give them, that vitamin K. Okay, okay. So a lot of parents don't even catch that because it's right when they have the baby. But then the MMR shot, all of those shots together, and the babies, their fevers go up so fast, they get so sick. And a lot of the babies who come out with, and I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but I I noticed, this is what I did notice, someone telling me that they heard somebody else saying that they noticed a lot of black boys behaviors change and their concentration change after they got their 18-month-old shots. So I'm not saying it. I'm saying I heard it from somebody else who heard it.
But you're right. You're right. They have to spread them shots out. You don't feel a baby with 5 and 10 shots within the first 10 or 9 months. It's 2 years is what my wife says, and she's the professional. All our kids are healthy.
Yeah.
Hey
Yeah,
guys.
so let's do that. Let's spread them out. Even if the doctor says no, insist upon it, just to as a precaution.
Sister Nikki, you don't know how many people I know, and I got some friends that have sons, and
Hey,
all
Twizzle.
their sons have autism. You know what I'm saying? I swear to God, ever since, shout out to that young queen, what's her name? Erica Lachey, when she brought up the mental illness amongst black people, then that's when it came out with a lot of autism with kids. I know so many black people, so many of my friends, so many black women that have sons that have autism. It's a damn shame. Now, I remember in the late 90s and the early 2000s when a lot of black kids was born with bronchitis, and it was like a common thing. Now, this autism amongst black boys is becoming a common thing, and it's with those shots. Shout out to Brother Rizza Islam, who mainly brought that out there. You know what I'm saying? And this is shame. And this shit, we spoke about this before. I think me and you, Sister Ronnie, we had a space where we spoke upon this before. It's the shots that they're giving these kids, like you say, around that between the 6 and 18 month, that's causing these young black boys to develop autism. Not only that, they're gonna be sterile when they get older. I know somebody right now, his son is 10 years old, but he running around here like he's 5 years old and he still gotta wear a diaper. You know what I'm saying? It's bad out here right now. It's women right now.
Oh, that breaks my
No, I'm
heart.
serious.
That breaks
I
my
know a
heart.
young woman right now, her son has autism. He's 5 years old, but he running around like he's two, and she's ashamed of the little boy. You know, it hurts her heart that he's like that, and she's so ashamed of the little boy. She ready to get a little boy up for adoption, but I keep telling her, don't. Just hold on to him. He may be able to outgrow it. He may be able to fight it off, but it hurts me because when I see the little
She
boy,
got to change his
when
diet.
I
Yes.
see the little
Tell her I
boy,
said
he's
change
five
his
years old,
diet.
but he's running around talking about, like he can't pronounce words, he can't say anything. You know what I'm saying? And that shit just hurts my heart, man.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
a
just fucked up.
possibility
No,
that they
but I'm
can
just
grow
saying
out of
that's
it.
what these shots. I pray they grow out of it. But it's just fucked up what they doing to these young black boys, man. Especially out here in California where we had a governor, Jerry Brown, where he made it a mandate that all kids had to have that shot. And that's what got it fucked up right now, man. You know what I'm saying? But hey, Professor, I want to speak on what you said on earlier with the lab rights and everything, with the lab mice and everything. Hey, I want to lighten up the humor and everything, but when you said that, you made me say this. Hey, Professor, what we gonna do tonight? The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. You know what I'm saying?
No
That's what I
cap.
thought about that because that's how lab mice are. All lab mice are white. They're albinoid mice because if whatever medicine that they practice, if it work on that albinoid mice, it's gonna work for them. But if it work on that black, that brown, or that melanated mice, it's not gonna work for them. So they have to go back to the drawing board, as they say, try to take over the world again. And I think, unfortunately, they did it when they came up with COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Twizzle, you waking some up in the jumbotron. I went there twice. Y'all forgive me. It was a copy, but um, back to what Wani helped me understand is all these medications and all these tactics in science, quote unquote, medicine goes back to Germanics. And I want to let the room know that in 1920, shortly after Reconstruction, we were rising up too fast for the system. Rockefeller took over. And then Rockefeller was a thug. He wasn't a scholar. He was a thug. Took over education and medicine. He took over school. The schools of education got radically changed to what'd you say, Juan? It make you like a zombie or something?
Indoctrinated. It was like a program,
Right,
drilling your patriotism into you. I'm not against patriotism, but in that context, it was very robotic. And then, years later, they said, oh, people are not sitting still in the class. People are moving around and having personalities and wanting to play musical instruments. Let's drug everybody. Let's get everybody on Adderall or say they need Ritalin or say that they're really, a lot of people on those drugs are just, regular active children. They have a personality. They've been pulling on pigtails since they've had pigtails.
right.
But all of a sudden, everybody needs to just sit still and be drugged.
So why? Well, my grandmama used to say, if you listen to people, you shut up. My grandma say, God gave you two eyes, two ears, and one mouth. That means you sit back and listen to people more than you talk. And if you listen to what Rockefeller, I put it in Jumbotron, he said out his mouth, he said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. So, given the fact that his organization took over education and medicine, it's not unreasonable to conclude that the educational system and the medical system was designed to create what he wanted, a nation of workers, like Wani said, a nation of robots. We're gonna get a
He's an industrialist, though, remember? So he was thinking about what he wanted. He
Mm-mm.
didn't care about American having personalities and wanting to do different things. He was only or trying to indoctrinate people to work in factories or whatever benefited industrialists.
Right, right. Dr. Jack Cruz, DMD, MD, a bad, sharp surgeon, was talking about that. He said that a lot of things are, but what Dr. Cruz said is in medical school, the medical curriculum has been altered in a way that doctors don't really know the whole truth about the human body. They know half truths. So we got a lot of doctors and a lot of educators who just really, have half truths. We're fed a bunch of mess, and it looks like, in my opinion, an agenda to create what he wanted, a nation of workers.
Can I
I'm gonna
just
get a couple
say,
more speakers, and we're gonna call it a night.
can I
Go
go
ahead.
after Miss Kushite?
Who I didn't see. We're gonna go
This
to.
What's your name?
Stony,
We
oh,
can't
this is
see
Stony,
it.
Stony
Stony
B.
B.
Is it
This
Stony?
is
Stony.
Oh, hey, Stony.
hey y'all.
Yeah, Wanda, you had a comment, and then we are going to Stony.
No, I was just letting you know who was talking.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Stony, Kush, and we'll get a couple more people, and we'll call it a night. Go ahead, Stony.
Hey guys, okay, how y'all doing? All right, so I you guys touched on a lot of few things that was very impactful for my life actually. And it feels like I guess they've been just doing this to us for a very, very, very long time. One of the things that I do want to say is as far as the does the media attack FBA children? I'm gonna say
Is that me or did
This app is, ugh, what is going on?
Stony? You there?
Yeah, they're attacking us, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Y'all see this last little pandemic stuff. They really got the drugs really going high.
It's
They want
scary.
us to take it, and then our eyeballs are going to roll up in our head like somebody I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I suggest y'all look up Dr. Jack Cruz. He's snitching. Like, he got blackballed by the American Medical Association so bad he had to move to El Salvador. But he's all over YouTube telling about what we're talking about. He even said that blue light, like, they got so sophisticated now, they don't really need drugs. They use light. Like, the light on our cell phone, TV is blue, and it's basically mind control. It affects our sleep. What do you call it? Circadian rhythms. This shit's deep. We waking it up. We're
We
gonna
just
go.
have to get that app for our laptops and just get an app
Mhm,
Well,
to blue blocker or
I
get
right.
some
just want to tell you
glasses.
guys that this is the mark of the beast. These phones, This is the new they put a chip in you. You don't need it now because you have these phones. And just take soak that in, and I'm a land.
Well, one of my students woke some shit up a couple years ago that blew my mind. We were kind of talking about what you're saying, and basically, long story short, one of my students was talking about the Garden of Eden. They were like, what it in the biblical canon, that what did they eat? They ate an apple, and what did that knowledge? What did the apple give them? Knowledge that kind of corrupted them. And my student was like, "Turn your phone over. What's on it?" And it was a big ass apple, and it got a bite out of it. What is this? What does our phone give us? Knowledge, and is it corrupting us? It's corrupting us with blue light. That's for sure.
Well, this is what you guys have to realize. They probably already figured it out. They can send a signal through our phone, and when you like how you looking at stuff and flashing through and flicking stuff, once you see that signal, they getting ready. So be ready to get rid of these phones. I got a flip phone. Y'all got to remember, I was on Tariq and said he was like, "How you on a flip phone?" Because I stay away from these phones.
How are you on a flip? It works on this. We need
No,
to
I have
talk.
an iPhone because I'm conscious and I got my eyes open and I love y'all black sisters and brothers. And I want to let y'all know up here, see, up here in the Northwest, they believe in Big Brother. And it's all over the city. Even the white people, when they had the riots out here, you got to remember, they burned down the police station up here for black people. Even though it
I
was Black Lives
remember.
Matter, they really fought for black people up here.
Are you sure they don't just like to burn stuff up?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm
you
just
right about
checking.
that.
I'm just
Is
checking
you from
because I
Seattle?
saw that girl.
It sounds like Seattle.
Hmm.
Little pyro. Hey, can y'all hear me? I got booted out.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm
Stoney. What's?
sorry.
Go ahead and land your plane.
I'm sorry. Okay, so as far as the media, yes, I do believe that we are attacked. I don't know if y'all remember when the Trayvon Martin case happened. One of the things that when it first happened, one of the things that they told us was like, one of the excuses that they were making was like, well, he shouldn't just been wearing that hoodie. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
It was like, yeah, he shouldn't have been wearing a hoodie. He just looks suspicious. He shouldn't have been wearing a hoodie. That's what everybody kept saying. So then remember on Facebook, everybody put the picture of Trayvon Martin with him in his hoodie to show solidarity and just togetherness. But then what I found interesting when that happened was after all that, then everybody started wearing a hoodie. All the white people was wearing the hoodies when they were judging us for wearing hoodies. You know what I'm saying? When we
Yeah.
go into a store, we had to take off our hoodie. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't wear it, and now it's a big old cool thing that everybody get to wear hoodies. That's what I feel about this Mr. Carmelo Anthony situation. They're just finding little baby excuses
Oh yeah. No,
to just just because that just shows that they're on the wrong side, of course. As
one
far as the
one.
vac as far as the Ritalin and stuff like that is concerned, yeah, that hit my family. My brother, he was on Ritalin. We were growing up, and it turned him into a complete zombie. He went from being a regular black boy to just standing straight still, very still, and like he was a busybody, but
Can
he
you
was still.
explain how he? Do you remember how he? The process of how he got on that drug?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, I do. Basically, he was a little bit rambunctious at school, him and myself. But I'm a female, so I kind of knew how to like hide it a little bit better. And he was a boy, he didn't kind of know how to hide it. He didn't know when to be good, when to turn it on and when to turn it off. And so the teachers and also we also had the folks, the CPS people in our business. They I'm guessing that they were talking to the school or something like that. Now I was a kid, but I
Yeah,
know
it
that my
comes through the
auntie, she
school.
was against it. She didn't want it. But they said that this was going to help. This is a new age drug. This is going to help the child.
See how they do?
And
They still have that attitude that a pill can solve it, and then the parent is, basically tricked and railroaded.
yes,
Oh, just take this pill and little
yep,
John will act right.
yep. That's exactly what happened with Anthony, my brother. And so She didn't like the way it was doing him because it just took him out the game. He went from being a regular busybody moving around, all he little and then he was just still, barely talking, all that. Even us kids, we noticed it. We were like, "Oh my God, what's going on with Anthony?" She didn't tell us that, they gave him some medicine and that's why he's like that. But we, as the children, it was a lot of us. I grew up in a big old family. And so we as the children, we could tell the difference in Anthony. Um, Eventually he got off the Ritalin. Um, and now I'm at a point where I think my niece, my sister's baby, she's kind of busybody like I was and like my brother was, and she's talking about putting my niece on this stuff.
No, no,
And
no,
I'm
no, no,
like,
no.
remember what happened to our brother? Don't
Yeah,
do it. I don't think you should do it.
yeah.
I
It's
don't think
what
you
you
should do it.
feed
Just
them.
think back to what happened to Anthony. And as far as, she's just a busybody little girl. She just needs something to keep her focused. I can tell because I was the very same way. And so she just needs that. She needs somebody to, help her focus. That's it. She's very intelligent, very smart, just like Anthony. Anthony had the ability to do all these different kind of tests. He could pass. He passed the GED test with flying colors, high ranking colors, because school just wasn't for him. He was, it just wasn't for him. And so, mom said, since you're really not really doing the school well thing, let's just go ahead and put you in the GED classes. We're going to send you to the military and get you there. And when he went to took the GED classes, they was like, why are you even here at the GED school? Like, you should have been in school. He's very intelligent. Um, and so I
I
also want to
know
tell you,
that's one of the things that a lot of intelligent people are very active and they get bored in the class and
yes,
they
that's very correct. Very,
there's a
Facts.
very
lot
much
of
so.
issue. Everybody's different. That's the issue.
I had the ability in class, even though I was a busybody acting up, I could focus if I wanted to focus. And I had the ability to come in with F's and D's, even though my mom did not like that, and shoot them all the way up to straight A's. You know what I'm saying? Just to get out of the trouble. Because I saw what Anthony was going through, and I was like, damn, if that happens, if they doing that to him, they're going to try to do something to me too. And my last point that I want to make is I had a cousin out here in LA. She had a baby. She had a few babies, but she had this baby boy, and they shot him up with too many vaccination shots. They shot him up with too many, and he did not make it.
Wow.
That was very eye opening for me as I was in my young 20s, and I was just like, what? And I told my cousin, because she was younger than me, I told her, like, I think that this is what happened to your baby, because when she was telling me what, she just took the baby to get a shot. The baby was a regular baby, regular, and it was due for the shots. He was due for his shots, and she said she took him in and he was regular, and then they gave him the shots, and then it went downhill. And so far downhill that they rushed him to the hospital. And my auntie called me. I was living in San Diego at the time. They called me and they told me to rush up to LA. Go to LA. Just stop whatever you're doing. I'm a comic. So I was at the comedy store, doing my little thing. They told me to stop. My family told me, stop what you're doing. Go straight to LA. I went straight to LA. And that baby didn't make it. And her daughter, my same cousin daughter, she I believe she's a little blessed. You know what I'm saying? I believe she's a little blessed, and it's just made it hard on my cousin and stuff like that. The loss of her baby really did it. I feel like it.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Me
sorry.
too.
What
She
did they what did they say the child died of? Did they say?
They, you guys, they made up so many different excuses. It was really the shots, and when she pinpointed the shot, she told them that it was the shots, and they kind of like admitted it. But what they did was, when she was trying to do her, due diligence and follow up through with all that, because after she was devastated and stuff like that, the doctors was playing games. She would call the office and they would give her the runaround. Oh, the doctor, we're supposed to be talking about the vaccination shots and what happened to your kid. That's all they said was, I'm sorry about what happened to your kid. But they said that the doctor went on vacation. The doctor kept going on vacation, guys. She
Right.
never saw the doctor. And so she dropped the lawsuit because she felt helpless.
Yeah, they are covering up. They're covering up these vaccination deaths.
That's correct. That's correct. That baby died. That was a regular baby. And my cousin, she's a bigger girl, and her babies was, cornbread, country fed. She pushed them out real big. She pushed them out real. They're big, big, big old, beautiful, healthy babies. I'm slender. I'm kind of slim, but she was always bigger than me. She was, she's the cousin that they think that she's older than me, and so her babies were, little big babies. And I don't know if they just overdid it with the big baby or what, but
Well,
they killed
they
my
think
my
they
my my cousin's baby with the vaccination shots, and I'm so afraid of vaccination shots. I don't want no vaccination shot,
well
and I'm encouraging my cousins and my siblings not to do it. But then again, I'm not a parent, so I don't know what I'm really saying. I could just say, you remember what you gonna call it, baby died.
like
That's all I can
Ronnie
say.
said, vaccinations in moderation. You got to split them up. You can't let them get them too many at a time, like she said, because vaccinations do help. We have a lot of foreigners coming into this country, and we have to understand that it's some stuff that they're bringing back. Like they said, the measles is coming. We ain't had no measles in America, but we have all these foreigners that came in. So sometimes we need to take, but it's just too many at one time, and then the food that the kids take. And another one last thing I gotta say is that up here, my grandmother told me when we moved from the South Mississippi, she said black is synonymous with a criminal. So we have to understand being black, like you guys in black cities is different, but where we're at, we have to understand that this is true at all times.
Yep. We're going to get a couple more speakers and we're going to call it a night. Kush, you had a comment, Queen Kush?
Yeah. So I've been fighting for my life to try to remember these points. The first thing that came to mind when we were talking about the vaccinations and things, I remembered for myself because I was active growing up as a kid, and people always said that I was hyper like my father. And in elementary school, so I went to elementary school late 80s, early 90s, and things like that. And I really don't recall as a kid anybody that perhaps may have been on Adderall or what. I heard about those things probably going closer towards middle school. But again, it's something that I heard more so with little black boys. And again, I grew up in an all black environment for the most part. So that's something that I heard being given to a lot of little black boys and not really little black girls. It's because when I think about myself, I'm like, I probably would have qualified to be on those drugs. Um, but it's not something that they really gave to the girls, they gave to the boys, which I think goes to the point that somebody had made about these drugs sterilizing, potentially sterilizing people to the point that they can't have children. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not saying that I know for sure, but I thought I heard that that may have been a part of the issue with the rapper Waka Flocka, because he and Tammy never had children together. And I think that it was discussed at a point that a part of the reason why they didn't have children is because he wasn't able to, it was because of him and the fact that he did take those types of drugs when he was a kid, which kind of stuck out in my mind, but I would have to go back and like confirm that. But I think that that's something too. I feel like all of the things that we're talking about are forms of welfare, from media attacking our children. Propaganda is a form of warfare without having to actually drop actual weapons. Biological warfare, like when we're talking about like something like this, there's that piece right there. And how they target, because I remember as an adult, somebody that I met later in life, they were like, Queen, you're really intelligent, you're really smart. A lot of people tell me that I should have become a lawyer. But I realized after I graduated high school, kind of like what Stony was saying about her brother and about herself, while I'm very intelligent and I was able to turn it on and off and sit in class and focus, when it came to college, there are just certain things I can't focus with college. And the person was just like, well, why don't you just get on drugs, whatever the drugs are, to help you focus, knock out your years of college, get your degrees, and go on about life. And like Nikki, I don't like to take a lot of drugs. So I don't. If I have a headache, I'd rather go to sleep and see if I can knock that out. I just got over the flu back in February. I took no drugs. And it was painful for my body to push through that since I'm not used to being sick. But I did not take drugs. I'd rather sit in the tub and try to soak it through or whatever. So that's not an answer for me. But I can see listening to everybody else how they're trying to push these drugs in, into our communities. And again, thinking about what biological warfare looks like. And if we do not think of ourselves on a battlefield, which a lot of times we don't, a lot of the things that we talk about are elements of warfare. And the last thing that I'll land with is what is he, Robert Kennedy, when Angela also Brooks cut Robert Kennedy off because he was saying that Black people have a stronger immune system than white people. And
Sure
so we
did.
need to be on a different vaccination schedule, which goes to what Wani was saying, which was going to what IB was saying, his wife, all of these different people, even Robert Kennedy acknowledge we need to be on a different vaccination schedule. Not that we should not get vaccinations, but possibly the schedule is different and how much that we receive or how much we don't receive be tailored specifically to us. But Angela also Brooks cut him off, and she also said, "I'm not going to vote for you to be the health secretary." So there's also that. I did not agree with that, amongst other things about Angela also Brooks. I digress. So I'm just saying that some of the things that we've just talked about, there's relevance to all of it, but I think that we have to just kind of always remember that there are so many warfare attacks coming against us in so many different ways. And if we don't begin to think as soldiers, generals, lieutenants, whatever, we will definitely miss some of the things that are happening that are attacks against us, and we won't have the best counter attack against whatever's happening. So I'll just land with it.
Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said that we're in a war, and and we're on the black side of the chessboard. In chess, white moves first. The white side of the chessboard's tactic is offense, defense, and the black side is defense, offense. So that's a very equatable paradigm with respect to white supremacy, because the system of white supremacy attacks and then hides its hands. So I like what she said, that we're in a war, and we need to recognize, that we're on a what our sister Vicky Diller said something so fresh. Vicky Diller said, America is the most beautiful battlefield on the planet. It is. It's beautiful. You can go to the gas station, you can go get sushi, but it's a battlefield, so it's confusing. We're gonna get our last speaker today is gonna be Welsing. Um, what's on your mind, Welsing?
Yeah, hi everybody. How you
Hey,
doing? Two things. I think a profession that should be focused on in an area that is a serious area for the BA children coming up within the school ranks is to be a psychological consultant in education and
facts.
tutoring for the BA children. I think it's necessary because and it's a profession that a lot of particularly not really truly focusing on because a lot of this with these nefarious teachers and principals and board of education professionals, if that's what you want to call them, they want to throw these kids into this zombie land of medication. I think a lot of it can be avoided with learning and with really understanding how a child can learn. And there's different ways and different approaches, and I think it starts with a very good a profession, which is a psychological consultant. And the last thing I want to say is, lady that just spoke before me, I think a book that could benefit a lot of people that are in this movement, Art of War. it should be a book that is dissected because it really helps an individual understand how to go about life in a very tactical way, how you can maneuver strategically and understand what you can foresee what the next move is going to be, and how sometimes being quiet, out being stealth and laying in the cut to understand who your enemy is going to be advantageous for you when it comes to whatever goal that you have in life. In this case, how to execute a plan, a strategic plan for your child to win in this minefield called education. But anyway, I want to land with that. And thank you so much, everybody, for having me up. And I want everybody to have a good evening. And thank you all for allowing me to speak.
Well, it's so excellent that Welsing said that because Dr. Welsing, Frances Cress Welsing, was a board certified child adolescent psychiatrist who dedicated her life to black kids. And Dr. Welsing, as a physician, said some real important shit. She said, um, when she was doing her residency in DC at Howard, um, uh, black she would, the white doctors would push medication, push pills, and Welsing said that didn't work for her black children, for her black patients. And Dr. Welsing said something to support what Welsing just said. Dr. Welsing found that if she, I'm paraphrasing her, but if she talked with her black patients, both adult and children, and let them know that they're in a system of white supremacy, that would start to heal them. She said our problems were totally different than white people's problems. She said most of the problems that we encountered was linked to white supremacy. So our problems are different. We need our own physicians, which is why I'm on the spaces. I was a professor at a historically black college in Tennessee, and that I love dearly. They made me a professor, actually certified me as a professor. But this school um, um, had the same issues that Dr. Welsing brought up. Um, we're in a system of white supremacy, and our problems are just totally different. And they're treating us like Europeans, which is part of the problem. One of the philosophers that educational systems use to talk about psychology is Sigmund Freud. And what nobody says, no professor ever says, is Sigmund Freud himself admitted that the psychology, the mind of a black person, is different than the mind of a white person. When you learn about Freud, he basically said everything goes back to paradigms of men having crushes on their mama and being jealous of their daddy. That just don't apply to black people. Our problems are totally different. And like Welson said, we need to develop our own site. And Dr. Amos Wilson said the same thing. Dr. Amos Wilson said we need our own theories of education, our own theories of psychology, which is what I've dedicated my life to. Speaking of which, in the Jumbotron, you'll see Nikki the God and Onthespotts Cash App, Show Them Love. And if you want my book, where I talk about psychological warfare on black children, put $25 on my Cash App, Our Story Publications. Put your full address and zip code, and I'll send it out to you. A couple of you just gave me your address. I'm sending books out tomorrow, so you should receive it shortly. Last thing I'm gonna say is, in the jumbotron, I put a letter from the Federal Bureau of Investigation that was released through FOI's Freedom of Information Act. I say FOI, FOI, yeah, Freedom of Information Act, where they admitted to infiltrating our communities in the 60s. The letter is dated August 25th, 1967. In the letter, it says the purpose of this new counterintelligence endeavor is to expose, disrupt. It uses that word disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of black nationalists. So, in every area of operations, and like Neely Fuller said, a government agency infiltrated our music, infiltrated our literature, infiltrated our fucking families, and with the objective of disrupting us. And that's what we're looking at with the media attack on foundational Black American children. We're looking at a campaign to disrupt, disorganize, and discredit us. The young man, Carmelo Anthony, could not be seen as a child, which he is, an innocent honor student, which he is, a star athlete, which he is, an upstanding gentleman in a suit and tie, which he is, because there's been a policy to disrupt our image. And this goes back to government agency, ladies and gentlemen. They said COINTELPRO stopped, but COINTELPRO is existing right now. We need our own media to counter this narrative, which is one blessing about X, is we're allowed to come on here and exercise our First Amendment right to tell the truth, thereby protecting our children. Um, Nikki, you had any last? Oh, I see no taxation down there. I don't know if no taxation spoke. No taxation. You want to say something real quick? Going once, going twice. She probably doesn't hear me. All right, with that.
I noticed there, I was just going to say real quick, I noticed the trends since I was born. First, they drug the white boys, and I've never seen them drug girls in mass. And then they began to drug the little black boys. And then the black mothers wanted diagnosis because they felt like they were not getting autism diagnosis. So now everybody is autistic and everybody is on drugs. And I mean, who's next? Literally, who's next? Are they just going to start drugging all the girls and then everybody's going to be sitting on some tranquilizer and then shift over to antidepressants and meth? They have a plan. They have a long-term plan that's been changing with different trends, and they just rely on parents being tired and not really knowing what to do. And they just go, okay, well, if this will keep little Johnny in class and I don't have to stay home from work and I don't have to get some special class for him, just drug him. That is sad because those things alter your brain and you're never the same again. You can't take anything for years and then go, oh, I'm off of it now. I'm out of school. No, it doesn't work like that. You're on it forever. It's your responsibility as a parent and to make sure you know all about vaccinations. Yeah, you didn't sign up for that, and you can't trust other people to do it for you. I know people didn't sign up for that, but you have to do it. You literally have to look into the vaccinations and like I said, just err on the side of caution. You know you need the vaccinations because people are coming over here with all these diseases and but you have to space them out and get a pediatrician that understands what you're trying to do.
And
Right.
another
There are
thing,
some.
we take the vials from the them vials you pay for. So you're supposed to take those vials that they give the shot, and you're supposed to take them when they're done.
That ain't even true. That's not true.
Come on,
My
Nikki.
wife, my
That
wife
ain't
took
not
ours.
true. I can't
Come
let
on,
you
Nikki.
keep
Educate
saying
us.
that. That's just not true.
Educate us,
Um,
Nikki. Come on with it.
None of that is true. The vials come in boxes. They're set up for certain days, and certain amount of vaccinations are set up. Some vaccines are kept in a refrigerator. Some vaccines are already set aside. If it's the COVID vaccines, those are set aside. You can't just keep those in a refrigerator. You have to use up each and every one of those. If you have COVID vaccine left over, you got to call people up and say, "Hey, we have extra left over. Do you want to come and get those?" And if those get destroyed, somebody you have to have a witness for those. Now, as far as the flu vaccine, those get kept in the refrigerator. I don't know where you're getting this
I'm
from, but
talking about
none of this is
the
true. I've
children's
I've vaccinated.
vaccinations.
I've vaccinated several people, and none of that this happens. And I've worked in several different states. I can't sit up on stage and let you say that, and I'm
No, I
licensed because looks like I'm supporting that,
no,
and it
I didn't
makes me
say
look
COVID
bad.
shots or none of that. We talking about the baby shots.
None of this is true, what you're saying. None of this is true. None of it. And I'm sitting up on stage and I'm licensed, and it makes me look like I'm just being reckless if I keep sitting up here and letting you say that. None of this is true, what you're saying. That just does not
I'm
happen.
Well, okay.
I'm not
I
objecting
I
what you
can't let you
saying, Nikki.
continue
That
to say any of this anymore. I'm gonna drop you down if you keep saying it.
Well, that goes back to
I'm
that.
not
That
objecting.
that goes back to what Dr. Kaba Kameen said about we need to rely on our specialists, the people, our professionals, and we need to. I'm not disrespecting you, brother. I'm just saying we need to be very mindful of staying in their lane, in our lanes, when we're talking about very specific things, and kind of rely on our professionals to speak on it. I'm guilty of that because I know a lot of different things. I know a little bit about computer programming because when I was served as a captain in the total force community, I did computer science. But you know what? I just talk here and there on it. We need to be careful of just speaking on stuff that we really know about because we can kind of mislead people. No disrespect to you, brother, but Nikki's like the professional in that arena on this
No,
floor.
of
Yeah.
course. I accept what Nikki said. It's just different types of vaccinations. My wife, she handled the stuff. It's for
Yeah,
the
well, your
children's
wife
stuff.
was probably making that up
I
because
was,
cause, 'cause you don't give them the vials after it's done. It
I,
just does not happen.
I
That
didn't
has
say
never
COVID shots.
happened.
What's the vaccination?
Okay, I've mentioned flu shots. I've mentioned there's all types of shots. I've given
All
all types of
vaccinations that
vaccinations.
Americans
I've given all types of vaccinations to several different people, and I never give somebody a vial to take home. That's kind of reckless to say things like that. That we can have a conversation, but we want people to trust us that we're giving relevant information that makes sense, and we don't want to just be recklessly saying stuff like that. That just does not happen. We don't give people vials to take home. That makes no sense. That just does not happen.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, we got to be real careful about. And sometimes we hear things from people, and it sounds right, but like Dr. John Henry Clark said, we got to rely on our professionals. And sometimes people do shit they're not supposed to do, but a lot of people come to our space to learn information, and just don't take that as disrespect. We have to make sure that we're 100% accurate, or as close to 100% as we can, because as our brother Tariq said, as black people in America, we don't have the margin of error. We have to be, and I'd say things sometimes as much as I read, and I might get some information wrong, and Wani will be like, wait a minute, did you say that black women created the public schools? And I'd be like, yeah, Dr. Zen taught me that. Well, she say that's wrong, and I just say, oh, damn, I stand corrected. It's okay to be wrong. But the message to get from this is, as a community, and I'm glad the space ended this way, because the message is we need to rely upon our professionals to get professional guidance, because hearsay, and false information, people could be, could be listening to that, and people trust us. They rely upon that, and it could get them hurt. You know what I'm saying, or get them embarrassed publicly. So no disrespect with that. That's just what it is. Yeah. Nikki, you had any final?
With all love and respect to the family in the room, and we just have to be careful. That's all. Nobody's angry at anyone. We all still love each other. We have to just make sure that we're careful in our circle,
Yeah.
so that people trust us to give them the correct information. I mean, you're always welcome on our stage.
And even with that, we're gonna be wrong. We're gonna say things that are wrong because we're human. But I appreciate Nikki being having high fidelity on that issue, because it's very important. Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. Did no taxation come back up? You back? No taxation.
Bottom line, it's your baby. You made it. If you're concerned about vaccinations being given too close together, tell the doctor to space them out. Tell them you're concerned about that. Make sure they understand your concern. Like I said, it's your baby. You
And doctors are allowing it more now. I'm seeing people that
spacing
that
out.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Doctors are being more understanding about that now. I know people who are just saying, "Hey, no vaccines for my child at all," and they sign whatever medical thing they want to sign, and they just let it go. Except for when you live in states like New York, they're more strict. I've heard of them calling child protective services on people. So New York, for some reason, they give parents a harder time with vaccinations,
Because
but
they have a lot of immigrants with no vaccinations.
oh, okay, got you, I understand.
Can I just
Yeah.
tap in right quick? I just want to say that I saw online, I don't have the person's name, but to Nikki's point, there are people online that are like doulas or people that work in the healthcare system that put together those packages where people live in states where it may be a little tougher, and people can actually have packages that are sent to the doctors that protects their rights as parents, and those packages are set up for them, so it can be done. People just have to do the research. I don't have the person's name or information to give the room right now, but I'm just letting people know that if you are able to do the research, you will find people that will help you put together, they're like birthright packages or something that they're called, so that you can have that documentation. So just FYI, it can be done either way.
All right, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
good to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, Kush. In conclusion, the media does attack black children. It's a long history. I'm glad somebody brought up Trayvon Martin. I do remember him being attacked by the media for having a hoodie on and some ridiculousness. It's up to us to, like Wani said, to protect our own fucking children. And ladies and gentlemen, as a licensed educator, we do need to take back control over our educational systems because the education system in America is misleading our children, and in my opinion, in a lot of jurisdictions, are leading them to the pipeline, the prison, the pipeline. I forgot the name, the prison pipeline. I think it's nefarious intentions behind the educational system, and it's up to us to educate our own children. So we need to figure that out. I'm toying with the idea of creating a school, so I'll keep y'all posted on that just for our own children. I enjoyed y'all. I learned a lot. And tomorrow we might be talking about blue light and its effect on our sleep patterns and mind control. I enjoyed y'all. Um, if y'all want to copy my book, go to Our Story Publications and check out Nikki and Wani's Cash App. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later. Have a good night. Peace out.